All right, folks, what's up? We're back with another hangout again. This is going to be atheists with subs, but no substance. So we have a G-Man here, and we have True Empiricism here. So yeah, we're going to be. I always forget to mute that feedback. Hold on. All right, so I just muted the feedback. So this is basically an after hangout to a discussion True Empiricism had with this guy by the name of David Heller. And his channels, you call it, what, Atheism TV, right, True?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, so his name is David Heller of Atheism TV. And this dude has quite a few subs, like over 12K subs. And my impression of this guy was that he was going to be at least somewhat, of a dude that was going to try to bring some sort of substance in the discussion True had. But to my disappointment, the dude was not that good. In fact, I don't think he's that great at all, not even a little bit. He sounds like, to me, just like a slightly lower version of The Amazing Atheist. But nonetheless, he still has 12,000 subs. Now, we have these atheists here on YouTube that got these numbers of these sub counts. They have a significantly high sub count, either from the many thousands to about, over a mil, like The Amazing Atheist does. So they got these subs, but no substance. That's what the hangout is called. Atheists with subs, but no substance. What's you guys' take on that?
Oh, I think it's absolutely 100% true. I mean, you look at a lot of these channels here online. Look at The Amazing Atheist. Dude's got over 1 million subscribers, but there's no substance whatsoever. If anybody goes back and they look at the discussion that I had with The Amazing Atheist, I got a lot of positive feedback on that video. Antonio, you and I, we went through that video on my channel just last night, and we can clearly see that a lot of these people, I mean, they can clearly see that Antonio did, or The Amazing Atheist did a horrible job. That's what happens, man. I mean, a lot of these people, they can run their mouth and they can badmouth and call names and be disrespectful and obnoxious. But when push comes to shove and they're confronted with the things that they're saying, and you hold their feet over the fire over the things that they're saying, they fail. And it's like watching them fall down a flight of stairs. And G-Man actually, he just did a video just recently. It was a very, very good video where he talked about how the atheist community, they're not doing a great job through all of these hangouts that the Bible Thumping Wingnut's doing, myself is doing, Antonio's doing, and himself, G-Man. People can clearly see that they're failing and they're doing a really, really bad job in these discussions. And I think it just goes to show, I mean, a lot of these people, they have a decent amount of viewers, they have a decent amount of subscribers, but there's no substance here. There's just name calling. There's just a lot of obnoxious remarks being made, but nobody's learning anything from them. There's nothing compelling to cause somebody to be convinced that Christianity is wrong, or evolution is true, or intelligent design is wrong, and creationism is wrong. There's nothing there at all. There's a lot of puffing out of certain people's chests, but that's pretty much as far as it goes.
Yeah, one of the things that really ticks me off is, in this great debate community where, we got the other side saying that evolution is true, there's all this overwhelming evidence for it. And when I go to these individual atheist channels, especially on Tuesday, no one's proving evolution is true. The only evidence I've ever heard that evolution is true on that particular show is, True, you're stupid, you don't understand basic science, you didn't graduate. And I'm listening to all these ad homs, all these insults, and at some point they're gonna provide some evidence. No evidence, nothing. No one can learn anything by listening to these people, yet they claim they're so smart and they're so intelligent. And that's what's so funny about it. It looks like a lot of these atheists that are boasting you know, and all this on all the views and subs that they got. Listen, anybody can go out there and take oil and throw it all over their bodies and humiliate themselves and act stupid and say stupid stuff to get views. Anybody can do that. Not everybody can go out there and make a decent, cohesive video and get views on it. Like, for example, I was on that show that comes on Tuesdays, right? On TST or whatever, right? And I was on the show, and we were talking about subscribers and views and everything. And I was telling the host of that particular show that, yeah, this show does great. And you got 100 people watching right now. But if you look at my channel during the week, you take one of my videos, you take this one video you're doing now, I'm actually going to get more views in the long haul. I might not have more live viewers, but I have more views in the long haul. And also, I mentioned that if I make an intellectual video, I'll have more people watching my intellectual stuff than he will. Because he's not respected as an intellectual. They look at the guy like a clown. Like he's a jokester. You know what I mean? It just goes back to the fact that a lot of people are watching him for comedy. They're not watching him to learn anything because he's not teaching anybody anything.
Hey, just real quick, True, can you briefly outline your impression with the discussion you had with David Heller and then give some commentary on that?
Oh, I think he did a horrible job. Just point blank, he did really, really bad. And honestly, I'm not really, well, I guess I'd say I'm a little bit surprised just because he, you know, he's a known figure in our community, in the atheist community. And with all the content that he puts up there, you would think he would do a better job. But at the same time, I got to say that it's kind of expected due to all of the discussions that I've had with so many different people. I mean, I've talked with people who pretty much know nothing about any given topic who are atheists and come in and say that, and people who have degrees from all sorts of different fields, and it really comes out of the same thing. They can't really come up with something with any sort of substance. And here's what I mean by that. When I was speaking with this guy, his response to me when I would ask him whether or not the mechanisms of evolution can account for the changes that they're claiming can happen over time, right? Because they're claiming that we diverged from a common ancestor a long, long time ago. That's the reason why you have bananas, apples, ants, fish, you know, all sorts of different creatures, because we all diverged from a common ancestor. So I asked him to show whether or not the evidence of science can actually support that claim. And his assertion was it was a process. Okay. What does that tell me? I mean, if I were, from a Christian perspective, well, let's just look at it from the reverse. What if I were to say God, the Bible, Jesus? That's how. Do you guys think that would be a good enough answer? No. And of course, from a faith perspective, which is belief with evidence, but could be having confidence in something. It doesn't mean belief without any evidence, like people try to say. From a faith perspective, I think we could give an explanation for why we believe what we believe, but they are denying that their science is an actual faith, right? And it's just very interesting because his responses and remarks were not scientific remarks, but just an opinion on faith. That it's a process, it'll take time. How does he know that? Does he have any scientific evidence for that? Can he show any experimentations or tests to prove what he's saying? No, he can't do that. And I think that's what really stood out to me is when he kept on making that remark. He was pressed for a good 30 or 40 minutes on this particular issue, and he was not able at all to show any evidence for his position. He could only make opinionated assertions about how he feels about it, no scientific evidence whatsoever.
I gotta read this real quick here. J.D. Kane said, seriously, who gives a S? It's not very nice, but 3 below IQ evangelicals whining about atheists isn't as interesting as it used to be. I hereby assert that other channels suck. Signed, Ronnie G-Man and Antonio. There, you can shut off the live feed now. We thank you for the advertisement, J.D. Kane, tonight. Thank you, bro.
I don't care if JD Kane talks about me. That's his job. He's supposed to advertise me on YouTube. Thank you, JD. Appreciate it.
Oh, I like that. Just the advertisement. You basically are telling him, G-Man, you know your role, bro. You're supposed to advertise me.
That's right. That's what he's here for. He's not here to teach me anything, that's for sure. He's one of those guys with subs and no substance. Who cares what he got?
You know what's funny? Yeah, and actually, it's an interesting thing about this is if anybody goes and checks out his channel, when J.D. Kane was speaking with with G-Man. G-Man clearly was having to educate him on a lot of stuff. It didn't seem like JD Kane knew a lot about some of these topics. Even, for example, I think there was some situation going on recently with the chromosome 2 fusion thing. This is hilarious because JD Kane has made remarks towards Antonio that he's got a below average intelligence and he's basically stupid, right? He made comments like that. And Antonio, JD Kane asked inside of his video basically what would actually happen. What is the problem with the telomere fusion? What was the problem with it and what we would expect? And Antonio was able to explain it live in the Hangouts. He was able to talk about it, but JD Kane was not. So it's funny to me when I listen to these people make these remarks in their own Hangouts, whatever they're only offering, whatever material they're trying to offer, which is just drama and trying to trash talk. They're even wrong there. Even the trash talk that they make doesn't really even seem to have any substance, right? So I thought that was a very interesting point.
I totally agree. It's hard watching his show because he can't even tell the truth when he's trash talking. I do a lot of things on YouTube that a person can be honest about and say, look how G-Man was acting, and then have a point. And then they could tell me, I shouldn't be acting like that and I should repent or whatever, right? But these people literally got to go out of their way to lie about you, make you say things that you never said, upload videos that were old that you were sorry for in order to try to embarrass you. That's how pathetic the atheist community is here on YouTube.
Well, honestly, I think that most of them, they just need to be ignored from now on. JD Kane, you know what? He's got about 1,700 subscribers. But so what, man? the only reason why he's even gained the subscribers that he's gained is because we've all drawn attention to his channel to begin with. It's the same thing I've seen with Sam. Sam only had like 300 subs before he started responding to me. When I got myself involved with him and started responding to him, he started gaining more and more subscribers. He's more than doubled his subscribers. Same thing happened with Steve. Steve was only getting about 150, 200 views on his videos, saved like maybe 1 or 2 videos. And after I responded to him, he's got about 800 subscribers now. We're the ones who make these people relevant. And I think that if we all start ignoring them, their views are gonna struggle to actually gain more views. They're gonna struggle to gain more subscribers. While we gain subscribers, they gain subscribers because they talk to us and we send traffic their way. And I think that's something we need to try to keep ourselves from doing, because it's just like the title of this Hangout is about, man. They have subs, but they have no substance. And it would be one thing if they were actually like trying to deal with our arguments and trying to come up with something intellectual and bringing up some sort of great points. But I don't think that actually exists in our community.
And the funny thing, the same atheists are riding JD Kane, and I bet you JD Kane doesn't even notice this. They come into JD Kane's room like they're somebody, not realizing they're coming on his channel and making JD Kane popular. JD Kane has almost 2,000 subscribers. Not Fiona, not the rest of the people that come on that show. Mm-hmm. JD Kane has those subscribers. JD Kane has those views. Mm-hmm. And then they come to my channel, oh, G-Man, you're a nobody. Sir, you got 500 subscribers. Who the heck are you? Come on.
Yeah, I appreciate JD Kane watching lowly old me with just my 180 some odd subs and him sending more traffic over my way just by being over here. I appreciate that, man. I give you your props for that, man. Much respect.
But JD Kane, in my opinion, isn't very bright because his channel grows on the fact that they pick on Christians. Yet no Christians want to go on his channel because if you go on there, you're going to be muted. Your volume is going to be brought all the way down. And you're going to be treated like trash. Why would I want to go on that show and have that happen to me? I go to the debate Coliseum. I mean,
well, let's just face it, too.
TST, but at least I'm treated with some respect when I go in there.
Let's face it, too, though, G-Man. I mean, why would we even... Like, JD King's Hangouts, they're not even a forum to where it's like some sort of intellectual discussion that's going to be had. I mean, the channel is literally dedicated to talk trash about people every week. It's in the title of the hangouts that he's got running. So J.D. Kane's hangouts, they're not really anything of any substance. It's really just a gossiping center where they just badmouth and talk trash about everybody. I mean, they can't even get a Christian to go in their room anymore. Really, it's almost non-existent for any Christian to go into their rooms, and it's because of how they treat people all the time. Look at Steve's rooms. None of the time you can get any Christian in any of Steve's rooms. That's not to say that it doesn't ever happen, but it's on extremely, extremely rare occasions now. What's going on?
Can we change the topic on somebody else real quick? And then, because I know that Mr. McCrae's watching this Google Hangout. Now, Mr. McCrae is eventually going to have what J.D. Kane has, because he does exactly what J.D. Kane does, and that's make a fool out of himself on the internet, right? But here's the thing now, okay? Hey, Steve McCrae and J.D. Kane, I know both of you guys are watching right now, right? I got an expose about J.D. Kane coming out soon. And Steve, you keep making comments about me on YouTube, sir. I'll make one about you, and you'll never show your ugly face on YouTube again. All right? The bottom line is this. J.D. Kane, you are a clown. There is no substance on TST at all. And Steve, you need to get a life, bro. You need to go get a hobby.
Just real quick. It's interesting that Steve is here, because I thought I titled this "Atheist with no substance." He's not an atheist, and he makes that abundantly clear all the time. It was very interesting that he's even here.
Well, he's a non-believer. Obviously, he's pretty much, yeah.
By definition, he's an atheist. And if he comes in here, I'll make him admit it. Ask him, does God exist? He'll go, I don't know. No, you're an atheist.
He just doesn't prefer the word, basically. But even some atheists I've seen respond to some of the things that he said about his position, that they'd probably say the same thing. He's would be classified as an atheist. But honestly, who cares about even these guys here? They're not a threat here online. They don't offer anything of any substance. Really, they've literally built their channels from pulling themselves up our bootlaces. That's how they've grained.
Hey, Tro.
What's that?
McRae's got Alzheimer's. He just said in the chat, and I quote, I spent 30 seconds on a video about G-Man. Still too much time, right? I guess he forgot about the Mormon video that he uploaded to his YouTube channel. How long was that video, guys? What was that, 20 minutes or something like that? Right? So
that's a long time, man.
Yeah, he put that video on there, and he's got atheists, he's got agnostics, and he's got people. He got those people going in the room disagreeing with him. I was gonna make a video until I saw how many people in his own camp was disagreeing with him for me. So Steve, you didn't even get a minute from me, bro. They're funny.
Yeah.
You didn't even get a minute from me.
You know why I think they mad? It's because you did that video saying atheism has come down the internet. And in 4 or 5 days or so, you got 13.
Internet is a place where atheism comes to die. Because if anybody looks at the great community, listen to me, J.D. Kane. There's a difference between you saying my mama and actually proving a point when you're talking to me in a debate. All right, you call me names and you're blue in the face. Anybody with any level of intelligence is going to look at this community and be like, these Christians are kicking these atheists behinds.
But we do, though. Let's just be realistic here. We dominate this community. We really do. The only difference that they have is that they've got more douchebags that keep running their mouth about us and to keep talking trash. That's it. But they don't really have anybody there in their community that can actually offer anything of substance to refute any of the things that we talk about. Just being realistic here, we dominate this community. You look at Matt Slick with all the people that he speaks to. He just dominates the discussions that he's in. You look at the discussions that we've been in. Look at the discussions that G-Man gets hosted whenever we're doing the Bring It Evolutionist on his channel, or here on Antonio's channel, or on my channel. These guys, they suck. They can't make any good points. And that's just what's really interesting to me. They don't really offer anything. They waste our time.
Yeah, and they don't understand evolution either. I don't think that and by the way, I'm not saying that evolution is true. I'm sorry, evolution is wrong because they don't understand evolution. I'm not dumb enough like they try to do to say something like that. But I don't think they understand it well enough to understand that there's an element of faith involved in their theory. Seriously. I can bring a child up here right now to explain to them why they have to say faith is involved. If they're claiming that a single cell evolved into a multi-cell that eventually became a fish-like creature, and they never observed this, and they're making educated guesses, then there's an element of faith involved with that. They won't admit that, because if they do, then we have justification for believing that God exists.
Well, it comes down to a word game, man. Like, there's two definitions of faith. One is belief without any evidence, and the second is confidence in something. So, but I can't see how they can have confidence in something that any of that is actually possible, because there's no evidence for any of that. There's simply no evidence for any of that at all. So the only definition that I can see based on the responses that I've heard in my interactions with a lot of these atheists is belief without any evidence. It is the type of faith that they accuse Christians of having, which Christians actually don't have. It's a religious belief almost, man. It's just, there's nothing, it seems like, of any substance where they can actually show that the mechanisms of evolution or the scientific method is actually behind evolutionary theory, and that's why it's true. It's a religious position.
Where's the dude you debated at?
I don't know. I sent him a message earlier. He said that he had to go and eat, but he just logged back on. He might try to pop in a little bit later.
All right. I'm tired of talking about the idiot clan. I want to talk about something intelligent now. So, actually, Antonio, I know you're probably going to tell me no, but if you give me mind control, you can let McCray and those guys in here, if they go one at a time, and if they want to have a respectful conversation,
Sure.
I won't throw them out of here.
No, I'm not going to tell you no at all. They can come in here, and anybody's welcome.
Give me permission to boot them as soon as they drop an ad-hom.
Yep, you can do what you want, man. They can come in here. They just gotta ask for the message through G Plus or through YouTube, and they can come in here.
Wait a minute. If JD Kane gets the link, he might make the link public, and we'll end up getting sniped. So make sure he understands that if you give him the link, that he cannot give the link out publicly, because I could have did that to his TST thingy numerous times if I wanted to, but I chose not to. Tell him to be nice, but one of us is going to get a hold of his TST link, and we're going to make sure he gets sniped. Shouldn't be doing stuff like that.
Well, he knows the deal. I know if we end up getting sniped, it'll be because something he did or someone that he invited did.
Yeah.
Well, anybody who wants a link, let me know. Steve, JD, whoever. If Antonio doesn't care, I'll send you the link privately through G Plus or through my private message over YouTube or something. So just let me know.
If Ray don't want to talk to me, and if JD Kane doesn't want to talk to me, I will mute my microphone. This is going to be the one rule in Antonio's room. You have to allow people to finish their statements. If you interrupt them in mid-sentence, I'm telling you, you guys see me do it on my YouTube channel, I will throw you out of here. I'm not playing.
JD Kane said that he wants to link it. So you want me to send it to him? Do you want me to send the link to JD Antonio?
No, I'm going to send it to him myself. I'm just waiting for one person to show up first. But afterwards, I'll send the link to him myself.
All right.
Are you waiting for Didi?
No.
Please, please, let's wait before we get him in here, because I like to say some things before he comes in here and dominate.
You guys got to be quick on JD Kane, though, because JD Kane has a habit of speaking really fast and being interruptive and trying to throw people off topic. So I'd be very quick on the mute button, because he does tend to make a mess out of a lot of rooms.
Well, I'm going to be in the control room, and I'll reduce his volume if he does. All he got to do is say his piece, then you say your piece, and then allow him to say his piece, because I don't want to give him any reason to go on Talking Stupidity Tuesdays, and go in there saying G-Man is an unfair moderator, because he's never going to get that.
Oh, my God. Like, who cares if he even says that, though? Because they always complain about that, and there's always perfectly good reasons for it. Honestly, if he starts acting crazy, I'd probably just kick him out, man. That way we don't even have to
I just sent it to him, and I just told him, you already know the deal. If we get sniped or anything like that, I'll know.
JD Kane wants the link. Oh, there he goes. All right.
He's in the room already.
All right, let me get to the control room. Now, guys, it's got to go both ways. So if we're telling JD Kane to let us finish speaking, that means we got to let him finish talking too.
Oh, absolutely. I agree.
This is Antonio's room, so that's how Antonio does it. You gotta let them finish.
Yeah.
So let's do this now, okay? JD King, you wanted to come in here. I'm gonna ask everybody to mute. Please keep the ad homs to a minimum. Please don't even do that at all if possible. All right, and say what you came in here to say. If you start acting like a jerk and all that stuff, you're gone. But go ahead.
Hey, I'm married.
Congratulations.
Woo!
Oh yeah, congrats, man.
Thank you. Hitting my honeymoon tomorrow morning. We're heading out to San Francisco.
Cool.
It should be
Oh,
great.
good deal, man. Have some fun.
Yeah, starting in San Francisco proper, like gonna check out like downtown, then go down to Carmel by the sea. Apparently it's gorgeous. And then the last trip we're going up to Sonoma and Napa for wine country. It should be great. Looking forward to it.
Congratulations.
All right.
But let's get to business now.
Great party. We're done by we're at the Grand over in Covington. You guys probably know already. I live around Cincinnati. Got married across the river though, because that's where all the good places were. Man, it was just great. Everyone showed up. A lot of parties. Everyone stayed on the dance floor like the whole night. It was like a Jewish wedding. Just everyone's so much great energy.
All right, good deal, man. But like G-Man said, let's talk business. So what did you want to say, man?
Well, about anything in particular? I mean, what's
evolution? Like,
what about it?
You said on TSC numerous times that apparently True doesn't understand evolution. Just very quickly explain why that's the case, and then when you're finished talking, let us know so we can let True talk without anybody interrupting him. And no one's going to interrupt you, by the way. But go ahead.
Well, he makes the kind of gaps you make when you don't. Like things like, do I have to give examples? Because we've heard them 1,000 times. That's one of the things about Ronnie gaps. They keep going. He never says, I was wrong. Sorry. Yeah, actually, I was wrong. It doesn't degrade in water. It dissolves in water. My mistake. I used the wrong language. He doesn't do that. He goes, no, I'm still right. And then we showed literature. No, I'm still right. Literature again. No, I'm still right. So, I mean, DNA does not degrade. It doesn't work that way. It dissolves in water. It doesn't degrade in water, or else we would melt when it rained. Another one was the whole telomere thing. Like I think he still doesn't get what Ruhif was on about, which was the simplest of things. Like, here's what happens when you get a telomere fusion, you get that TTA, GGG, you get a bunch of those, but not enough to make it the end of a chromosome. And so we look at chromosome number 2, look, same thing. Well, that means there was a fusion there. You don't see groupings of TTA, GGG unless you have either the remnants of a fusion or you've got the end of a chromosome. That's all he had to say. The thing is, for everyone else but Ronnie, got it in 5 seconds. Ronnie, he still doesn't. So obviously, his understanding of evolution is, despite his memorization of certain things, not the best. Especially not when compared to people like Fiona, Steve McRae, Isaiah, CRISPR, scientist Sam, Fiona, obviously. All of them, they've got actual degrees. They've actually studied this. Fiona, worked in the field for 30 plus years.
Okay, JD, True Empiricism has to go soon, so he wants to respond to you. I lowered his volume, so I'm going to lower your volume right now. Okay, and then I'm going to let True.
I can be quiet. Don't worry about it.
No, I'm sorry, JD. I'm going to have to reduce your volume and then let True go. Okay, so just hold on a minute, okay? Okay, I just reduced, hold on a minute. I just reduced JD King's volume, and now I increased True Empiricism's volume. True Empiricism, no one interrupt him, please. Go ahead, True. Say what you got to say.
Well, I want to ask him if he even understands what we're talking about with the DNA and water situation to begin with, because I'm more than willing to bet he doesn't even understand the topic. Most of the people in his community, they still don't understand the topic, even when I brought up Le Chatelier's principle to begin with months and months and months ago. So in order for us to get into this a little bit, I actually want to have a little bit of a back and forth with him. Does he understand what Le Chatelier's principle is? And you can go ahead and respond as briefly and as quickly as possible.
All right, so I'm going to lower your volume again, True. Hold on. And I'm going to increase JD King's volume. Okay, JD, go ahead and respond.
Not a clue. Not a biologist, not a chemist. Don't know.
All right, lowering your volume again. Okay, True. Increasing your volume. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I think it's very interesting that he said he doesn't know, because if he understood Le Chatelier's principle basically deals with an equilibrium state inside of the water where concentration, volume, pressure, or the removal or addition of chemicals or dilution or temperature can disrupt the equilibrium state. One of the things that I brought up originally when all of this was talked about was a section in the article, or not the article, but the paper that was being shown by Fiona in her video, which she did not read for everybody, and that was that DNA had to be stored at a certain temperature, because if it was not stored at a certain temperature, it would degrade. Now, we're not talking about, at this point, nuclease water, nuclease-free water. We're talking about temperature at this moment, because the temperature will influence how DNA would last, or if it wouldn't last. Later on, actually, when this was actually all talked about, what had happened was that she left it alone. It was quiet for about, 4 or 5 months or so. And then she brought it up again, talking about the hydrolysis reaction, doubling down on her particular statement. But the fact that he didn't understand right now Le Chatelier's principle, just like everybody else before him. I think it just tells that all that nonsense that he was just saying right now, was very, very telling. So go ahead, make your response, JD.
All right, so I'm going to reduce True Empiricism's volume, to be fair. I'm going to increase JD Kane's volume, and JD Kane's going to respond. Go ahead, JD.
All right, again, we have the problem that we typically have with Ronnie, which is he doesn't actually make a point. Yes, I don't understand Le Chatelier's principle. And then he points and goes, you don't understand Le Chatelier's principle. I'm not sure if I'm even pronouncing that right. So what? Who gives a crap? It's not relevant. There's no argument there other than, hey, you're ignorant of something. Well, most people don't know what Le Chatelier's principle is. So what? It's not an argument for anything other than, I think you don't know something. Well, I can pick out 1,000 things Ryan doesn't know, but that's not an argument either. Now, the issue is that, is he claiming to know things on a subject that he doesn't understand? That's the issue. I've never claimed, hey, I know Le Chatelier's principle, and it debunks some crap that Ronnie said. I've never said that. As for temperature having to do with H2O, that has to do with the temperature affects the contaminants that in the water, not the water itself. The reason that doesn't destroy the DNA. It doesn't work that way. Anyway, that's the gist of it. It doesn't. Everything degrades eventually. However, the water itself is not responsible. It dissolves in water, does not degrade in water. And everyone and their mother has shown you this in every website we can think of. Why not just admit you got it wrong, that you didn't know the difference between degrade and dissolve in biological terms? In biology, it's not as colloquial as it is normally. Why not just admit that? That's what frustrates everyone. That's why these conversations take forever to get you through this. You just go, you know what? I didn't know that dissolve and degrade meant different things. Or I think actually first you said break down. You didn't know the difference. You didn't know how it worked in biology. It's okay not to know things. I can admit, Le Chatelier's principle, I got no clue. And that's fine. Just admit the ignorance, and other people will correct you. And when you say, you're right, I'm sorry, I don't know, they will respect you. That is the thing I want you to come away with here. If you admit you're wrong when you are, when it's demonstrable.
So I'm going to now reduce your volume.
Is it reduced?
All right.
You know what? That cuts both ways.
I'm going to reduce JD.
Just real quick, I just got a quick comment. That cuts both ways for people in your community because let's be for real. Steve tried to make True Empiricism and myself look like fools about the unborn being a human being at conception. Yet people, even in your own circles, agreeing with us. So when they get corrected on certain things, then they need to follow suit as well. The standards.
Yeah. 1 second, True, before you go. I increased your volume, and Steve McRae is asking for the link.
Okay.
So go ahead, True.
Well, the problem, okay, guys, but I got to be really quick because, like I said, I got to go soon. But
okay,
it's funny what he just said right there. Just a whole bunch of nonsense. First of all, I'm not wrong about anything, and never have I been shown wrong to be wrong about anything that I've been saying right here. You guys got to keep in mind who are the people that are saying that I'm wrong about this stuff. J.D. Kane. Does J.D. Kane know what I'm wrong about? Clearly not, because he didn't know what Le Chatelier's principle even was or wasn't about. I explained to him very clearly that there are different disturbances in an equilibrium state, like concentration, volume, pressure, the removal or addition of chemicals, dilution, and temperature. This will all affect the equilibrium state in water. Now, obviously, he's not going to understand any of this if I get into technical details, but if he understood what the temperature was and what that had to do with, why it was brought up to begin with when I was speaking with Fiona, I pointed this out to her, that the temperature is what's going to actually impact how long or how well, DNA is going to last, then he's going to understand everything else. But DNA does degrade in water, and it both dissolves in water. Understanding what's being said, understanding the terms that are being used is key here. You can't sit over here and say that somebody doesn't understand something, but you don't even understand the language or the things that are being talked about in that topic. Okay, things degrade in water. They come apart in water. They have a specific meaning. Go look up the definitions. Go look up what's understood by these particular descriptions. And there's really nothing else that can be said by that. Just a lot of accusations from somebody. And I want everybody to think about this for a second. So many people have shown me to be wrong about this. He knows that they've shown me to be wrong about this because he doesn't know anything about the topic. Did you guys see that? He didn't even know what Le Chatelier's principle was about. When I originally brought this particular point up, which would have clarified everything so that people could understand it, right? So that's what the particular point is. When she comes back and she starts talking about, 6 months later, 5 months later, whatever, about how DNA is going to come apart in water because of the increased temperature, and as it decreases the temperature, that falls right in line with what I said to her months ago, and which she was ignoring and trying to deny. Now, the same people in our community as well, like, Hogtie, for example, too. Yeah, Hogtie. When I was speaking with him, he didn't even know what the bonds were that were going to come apart. I had to tell him, look, are you referring to the phosphodiester bond? And he didn't know that. The other people in our community, like, I forget what his name is, Dragnock Silvis. Now, I was talking about Le Chatelier's principle from the top of my head, so I mispronounced it. But later on, Sam tried to correct and help Dragnock understand what Le Chatelier's principle was. And you can very clearly see long periods of silence because he didn't know what Le Chatelier's principle was. He didn't understand it. Very clearly that was shown inside of the discussion. So they didn't learn about Le Chatelier's principle. Many of these people through me later on in some of these discussions. So obviously the guy doesn't know what he's talking about, and honestly, I don't even know why I'm entertaining this.
All
just
right.
real quick, I invited, I just gotta say something real quick, man. I invited Wayne Fillmore in here and Steve in here. Now, I'm gonna make it very clear that none of you dudes are gonna come and take over my room, because I know y'all tend to hang in the same general circles. Y'all can come in here, but y'all not gonna take over my room. And I'm allowing G-Man to have full mind control and to do whatever he feels at his discretion to keep y'all in check.
All right, so you guys heard that, and please keep in mind, True Empiricism and Antonio did not bring up the idea about bringing you guys in here or talking about you guys specifically. Okay, I asked him to bring JD Kane in here to talk about this if he gave me full moderation controls, so that we can keep some order in the room. So I'm going to increase JD Kane's volume and let him get one more word in. And then I'm assuming Wayne or Steve's going to come in here. But if you're going to have that many science people in here, Antonio, you might want to get DD or get Pillbox in here. Well, actually, oh no, maybe Nephilim Free in here. If you're going to have that many people, they're going to be talking about science. JD Kane, your volume's up.
All right, thanks, G-Man. One thing, don't look, please. You've said this before, and every time you do, there's a huge face on the community. DD, Nephilim Free, Pillbox. These are not science experts. One's a flat earther, the other one's a pre-supper who refuses to answer questions. And Nephilim Free's been wrong in the same way for like a decade. These are not science experts. All right, if you want the whole your own experts thing, well, I disagree with that. Look to look to creation.com. Look to people who have actual degrees. I still going to say they're wrong, but at least you're talking to people who actually have degrees rather than these guys. Pillbox, what does Pillbox do? Well, I mean, everyone who works in biology. That's one of the nice things about being an atheist and being like a science
expert.
Well, I'm still speaking to you, man. One sec. The nice thing about being an atheist and being just kind of going with the consensus in science is that you have the consensus on your side. You've got 95% plus of the community going, yeah, he's saying the stuff that we say. So it makes it a little easier. It's kind of harder when you're going against the consensus, especially if you're not an expert. Anyway, what I want to say back to Ronnie.
Yeah, be quick, please, because I got to get it to work.
The short version, what is more likely? That Ronnie, admittedly self-taught in biology, is right about a fundamental fact about DNA, or that the half dozen or so biologists in the community who are attempting to correct someone who is just very bad at taking criticism. I think it's more likely that biologists are right and not the guy who's self-taught. That's just kind of common sense notion. So
let me respond to that briefly then, before you go on into different points. I don't think that there are a half dozen biologists in our community, but I think that that's irrelevant because the topic that we're talking about really has to relate to organic chemistry or at least biochemistry. And either way, I mean, that doesn't matter. That doesn't mean anything at all. I mean, is there a point that you actually have to make concerning the topic? That's what's actually important right now. Because we can apply that same thing with people that are like Matt Dillahunty. He's not a philosopher. He doesn't have a degree in philosophy, but he obviously talks with philosophers all the time on a regular basis. But no theist is going to say, oh, you know what, you're therefore disqualified. We shouldn't listen to you. That's not how it works. It's never worked like that.
Yeah, and I'm
right.
Sam's make a quick comment about that too.
Okay. Can I real quick? Hexpot Avenger, Hogtie Champ, Fiona, Sam, Steve, Isaiah Sloan, CRISPR, that's 7. That's more than half a dozen. But all these people, clearly, when they talk about biology, you can tell that they know what they're talking about. It's one of those things where when you hear someone talk about a subject, there's a certain way they express it, especially if they're a scientist. Scientists, you know, they're all about the fuzzy language. Like, all right, it seems to be the case, or the article supports, or this is where the paper shows, rather than the more like assertion type things you hear from apologetics, which is this is the case and everyone else is wrong. You just don't hear that.
Well, 90% of these people are actually, when I'm talking with them, they're usually clueless about the topic and don't really know how to talk about it. Sam is probably the only person that you mentioned, and Fiona, out of all those different people that I think actually have a strong education in some of these areas, and those are the type of people that we could take seriously. Hogtie, he's a knowledgeable person, man, but he's not an expert on all of these fields. He's knowledgeable, and I think he's got an education to some extent to some of this stuff. I think you're exaggerating, and your exaggeration really doesn't mean anything anyways.
If I may,
wait, hold on. No, Fiona's not getting the link because I see what's happening over here. Because true empiricism has to go to work, and y'all know this. And then y'all want to get people in y'all circles to try to come into my room and dominate. No, she's not getting the link.
Okay.
I think I'm not stupid. I see what's happening here.
Can you let you respond to me briefly so that because I do have to go to work in like 5 minutes, and 2 other people came in the room, and I want to be able to respond to what they got to say before I go.
All right, so let McCray go next then. Go ahead, Steve. You got to unmute, Steve.
Yeah, so I think I lost like kind of the last 10 minutes because my thing was freezing up hard, but I think I got the gist of it because you're talking about Le Chatelier's principle, and my questions would be twofold. One, what does it have to do with degradation? And basically, that's just homeostasis of a chemical reaction. All that's basically saying is if something's going to change, there's going to be an equilibrium so that the chemical reaction is balanced. And a lot of times we'll do that with what's called qualitative analysis. You familiar with Boyle's law or Charles' law?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so you can actually combine them. You can have PV1 over T1 equals PV2 over T2. And if you have what's called a qualitative analysis, you can raise one and see how it functions, how it changes something else. And all that's happening is you're changing one parameter in a system, and something else has to change. And so Chatelier's, it's just basically saying there's going to be a homeostasis for the system after a period of time. It's going to go back to it's an equilibrium. When we're talking about degradation in water, something that falls apart or degrades, have you not said that degrade and dissolve are the same thing? You've used them interchangeably, correct?
Dissolve I say that dissolve, it is synonymous with degrading over time, but I think you're sort of missing the point here. We're specifically something that is going under an equilibrium state. That doesn't necessarily mean that there is somehow like something is not degrading or it's not losing its property. Is that what you're thinking happens?
No, what I'm asking you is if you use them synonymously, okay, when DNA goes into water and it does dissolve, okay, obviously, a hydrogen ion is going to be released from the OH group on the phosphate, on the sugar phosphate backbone. Okay, that's why it's called an acid. It's an ion that's produced. Not all acids produce H. There are types of Lewis acids that don't, but for the most part, an acid is something that isn't a hydrogen producer. So when DNA goes into water and you have on that functional OH group, that H comes off into the water, and you form hydronium because it combines with water, so you have H2O plus the hydrogen ion forming H3O. That's what we mean by dissolve. Okay, you would never ever use the word degrade to explain that process, because all it is one hydrogen atom coming off.
No, you would use degrade. Well, it's a little bit different right here. If we're talking about the hydrolysis reaction, that within itself is a degrading reaction. If we're talking about dissolving, something may come apart in water, but it depends on what the compound actually is. That's something that we could say is up for debate on how the thing is going to be coming apart in water. But if we're talking about an hydrolysis reaction, like what Fiona was mentioning, that's talking about something slightly different.
Then what bonds specifically on the DNA? You have phosphodiester bonds, you've got glycosidic bonds between the sugar and the nitrogen space, and you have your bonds in the nitrogen space itself, the covalent bonds. So
right.
Those are the three different bonds that are going to be broken for you to say that it's going to degrade. Which of those break apart?
Well, I would say that is up for the debate on how it's going to come apart when DNA is dissolving in water. But when we're talking about an hydrolysis reaction, which was something that I pointed out to Fiona to begin with, right? When all this started, let me just backtrack a little bit. I was responding to something that Fiona actually said through one of her videos, and she was screen sharing, talking about how DNA, how you didn't need these different aqueous solutions, how you can actually dissolve DNA or use DNA in a solution without, the ethanol or the other, salts, because I was saying that this helps to neutralize the charges in the sugar phosphate backbone. One of the sections that she didn't read had to do with DNA being stored at a certain temperature. And I brought up to everybody that, look, yeah, you can bring it in water, but it depends on the state of the water because of the temperature there. The temperature in the water, it's telling you to freeze it at a certain temperature because it would degrade. That's the wording that it used word for word. So what I'm trying to say is that would be a hydrolysis reaction. Later on, it seemed like she was trying to conflate an hydrolysis reaction with dissolving and then trying to say that over a long period of time, that's how it's going to last, ignoring the fact that I was the one who originally brought up the temperature problem.
Are you saying that a hydrolysis reaction obviously degrades things? It's the opposite of a condensation reaction. So a hydrolysis reaction, are you saying the hydrolysis is actually what happens when a DNA dissolves in water? Not degrades, but dissolves.
No, you're misunderstanding.
Just real quick, I'm going to make this real quick statement. When True leaves, this conversation is done. All right, go ahead and answer.
I want to use the words differently. I want to use degrade and dissolve as two different things here. Okay, since we know DNA does dissolve in water, nobody is going to argue that. Okay, are you calling that a hydrolysis reaction?
No,
I'm not. Hang on a second.
I'm not.
Okay, so it's not hydrolysis is a degrading reaction. So hydrolysis can degrade things, but hydrolysis won't dissolve things. Correct?
No, a hydrolysis reaction, it's like what you just said just now. A hydrolysis reaction, things come apart, but usually with a hydrolysis reaction only happens when you have some sort of catalyst. That's one of the problems that I have with what she's saying, that this can be considered a hydrolysis reaction because there was no sort of catalyst to begin with. But the state of the water is what influenced that. That's what I'm trying to let people understand. It's the state of the water that influenced it.
I'm really confused by what you're saying here. Maybe I want to clarify this.
It's not really hard to understand. If we're sitting over here and saying,
with your terminology,
let me explain it because I got to go soon. So let me explain this. If something is dissolving in water, it's going to come apart too. It's going to come apart too, but it's going to come apart in a different way. It's going to come apart in a different way. Like sodium chloride, that's going to come apart where the atoms are coming apart in water. If it's DNA or some sort of sugar compound, covalent compound, it will come apart in ways where the sugar is actually coming apart in clusters, or it might be coming apart where it's splitting down the middle. That is something that's up for debate. But the point being is that dissolving causes something to come apart to a certain extent. And hydrolysis reaction is slightly different than that, where you're seeing things come apart more rapidly by the increase of heat or through some sort of catalyst. It's the opposite of what you just said.
I want to make sure I'm not trying to interrupt you. I just want to clarify. So you're saying that in water with no nucleases in there whatsoever, no DNA nuclease to break down the DNA, you're saying that there's still an enzymatic function that somehow breaks down or degrades the DNA. That's what you're saying?
No. You're not understanding what a hydrolysis reaction is.
I know what a hydrolysis reaction is. I know very well what a hydrolysis reaction is.
I got to go soon. Listen to me. Even a condensation reaction as well. Every time that happens, there is a catalyst involved. The paper that she gave me, there was no catalyst involved. It was DNA itself being in water by increasing the temperature of water caused the bonds to break apart within a matter of, if it was frozen or at a very low temperature to 70 degrees Celsius to maybe millions of years, but as you increase it and increase the temperature, the bonds would break in a matter of weeks to days to months. That's the point here. So what I'm trying to bring up to you right now is the original claim was denied that I was bringing up. I wasn't talking about because Fiona was bringing up the situation with the bonds breaking apart because of nuclease or nuclease water, right? That's what she was saying. I was originally talking about how the temperature of the water, the state of the water will influence on whether or not the bonds would break rapidly. That's what I was bringing up. Later on, months later, she brought up this situation with the bonds of DNA and water, how they would last a long, long period of time without a catalyst in water. So basically, somehow that was supposed to prove her point.
All right, let me increase Steve's volume. Hold on. Go ahead, Steve.
Sir, could you tell me how you're using the word catalyst? You're saying that it requires a catalyst. Why does there certain reactions require a catalyst?
He's muted right now. I don't know if he's
Do you think that all reactions require a catalyst, or do catalysts like an enzyme just?
I think this is not really hard to understand. I mean,
well, I'm just real quick. You change the activation.
Hydrolysis reaction, like hydrolysis reactions and the condensation reactions, they need a catalyst in order for them to work. The paper that she gave me had no catalyst. It was what was going to happen with DNA and water with no catalyst. And all had to do with temperature, the DNA coming apart as an increase of temperature or of a lowering in temperature. The point being is that what I said was 100%.
Let me ask you.
Well, hold on, Steve.
It was ignored and then jumped back on a few months later. But I have to go. So whatever you guys are going to say.
Let me ask you.
Why don't we let Ronnie go? He's been trying to go for a while.
I really want to know.
Wait, hold on. Why don't y'all have this conversation at a different time? And we can do it right here on my channel.
He can come into my room whenever. He can come into my room whenever, or your room, Antonio.
I don't recommend
I just have one quick question. One follow-up question. Why do you think that it has to require a catalyst? All a catalyst does is lower the activation energy, so it has reaction rates become faster. It has to do the rate at which the reaction goes. So if there's a catalyst required for every reaction, then what catalyst is required to form a nitrogenous base to a sugar with a glycosidic bond, like a 1,9 alpha or beta bond? What is going to be required to make that bond? Catalyst. What is the name of the catalyst that requires that glycosidic bond between the nitrogenous base and the sugar? Because if there is one, I don't know what it is.
Because hydrolysis reactions and condensation reactions, as you just said, are basically opposites. You have something breaking apart and something coming together. How that happens is with a catalyst.
Okay, what's the catalyst?
Everybody knows that. I mean, if you know about the reactions that we're talking about, that's done through a catalyst. Point being is this is what's important here.
What's the name of the catalyst?
I'm the one who said originally that the temperature is what's going to impact whether or not DNA is going to come apart in water. Fiona was the one bringing in this stuff about catalysts or enzymes or enzymatic free water, all that other crap. Then later on brought up this article. That's what we need to do.
There's a catalyst. What's the catalyst for the condensation reaction that will bind a nitrogenous base to a
Wait a minute. I'm sorry, Steve.
Condensation. Before we go on, a condensation reaction is the complete opposite of a hydrolysis reaction. It's when something is being built up. It's when something is coming together.
Wait a minute. I have a question for you, Tro. You said that the temperature of the water had something to do with DNA dissolving in water, and then Fiona was the one bringing up the other points. What exactly is the argument that is being made against what you're saying?
Well, there's not an argument. I think there's a lot of inconsistent remarks being made, but let me go back to the original point. This all had to do with abiogenesis and how things would be able to survive in the water. Originally, I talked about how it was actually RNA, because nobody thinks it was, first DNA was DNA was the first self-replicator. I talked about RNA because RNA is actually more fragile than DNA, so it would be less likely to be able to survive in these environments when you consider all of these different things involved. The temperature of the water, the different elements at play. Some people think that it's a volcanic, gassy type of scenario where the abiogenesis might have happened, ocean vents, all sorts of different ideas. But all of these different ideas, they have a very negative impact on DNA, especially RNA, because RNA is more fragile. So this is really the reason why everything sort of segued into different sort of topics. But that's why it all comes back to just really a straight refutation, actually, of the original point too, because one of the things that they brought up was this temperature. And if you look at the temperature, and I really do have to go right after I make this point, but if you look at the temperature of the water and you look at what they say about the greenhouse gases and what the temperature more than likely would have been, 70 degrees to possibly 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit, the bonds would have broken apart rapidly because of a very high increased temperature.
All right, so
All right, the conversation's
make
over.
this quick. Well, Antonio said, if I was quick, I waited patiently for him to stop.
Stop. The conversation's done.
Yeah.
Oh, come on,
I
Antonio.
gotta bring this up Tuesday.
No, that's
too
too bad. I said the conversation's done. I'll have to
You-
continue in another time.
Okay.
Here's your room.
All right.
We can discuss this later in my room.
I do want to be clear.
Sure.
You in the side chat, you did say I could do it, and I was polite and waiting to finish. But now you're saying can't say a word. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, well, you have to forgive me for that. I apologize for that, but
Hold on a minute.
Antonio said.
Antonio,
hold on.
One criticism left. When he left the room, that was the end of this conversation because obviously I'm not going to sit here and argue.
But Antonio,
Yeah,
I don't
Antonio,
actually. Hold on, Steve. One sec. Actually, I don't actually have anything to say about this particular topic. Head to the first question.
Wait a minute.
I just said hold on. I just said to be fair that I would let GD get a comment, but he really did have to go, so I shouldn't even said that at all.
Well, listen, it's not
But he
actually
really did
about.
have to go, but
It's not about what they were talking about. It was not the first thing G-Man asked when I came in here. He said,
Okay.
JD, you say that Ryan doesn't know anything. Prove it. This conversation is why I know that Ronnie doesn't know what he's talking about. And I could go into detail, but if you don't want me to, I'll let it slide there.
Yeah,
Well,
honestly,
the
he didn't answer any of my questions whatsoever.
Well,
He
the conversation is
he had
to
no
be
idea what I was
continued.
talking about.
Volumes right now. I'm reducing volumes right now. Hold on.
The conversation is to be continued.
Is not here. He's not here, so there's no point in having this conversation no more. That's what he's gonna be
I'm not going to talk about him behind his back either, because we had a different topic going on here. So we're going to get back on topic. If you guys don't want to stick around and talk about the topic, then
That's fine. We'll change topics. Although it's interesting that you talk about talking behind people's backs. What were you three doing here before we came in?
You guys were talking behind my back and JD's back. The entire time you guys were in here. You first started in here, we were talking.
Well, so wait a minute. Holding hangouts. Wait a minute. Holding hangouts and talking about other people. Talking about other people all the time is talking behind your back.
Yeah, not to mention you guys was in the live chat and we brought you up when we saw you in the live chat. Then we made the link available for you to come in. Okay, so be honest about this now, all right? Now the hangout is about atheists with a lot of subscribers who have no substance. That's what we're supposed to be talking about. And that's what we're going to talk about. If you don't want to talk about it,
Antonio,
as soon as Antonio
am I being very, very
Fine
similar?
talking about it.
I'll talk about anything you want, Antonio. But I mean, there's no reason why. Hey, man, JD. There's no reason for JD be changing my volume right now. I'm not being loud by any stretch of the imagination. He's adjusted my volume at least 12 times already. Why would you have moderation like that?
Look, here's the deal. He said that he was going to adjust volume for everybody, and that's exactly what he did.
There's no reason to. It's pretty silly.
Well, he's fine. It is your
that's your personal opinion, man. If you don't like that, you can
Point it
go.
out to you. Just point
All right, well, yeah, I mean, it's your hangout, of course. You do whatever you want.
Okay, Antonio.
Yeah, I'm
go
not. This is
back to running
ridiculous.
your room. I got them on mute. Go back and run your room. And then when you tell me, I'll increase the volume.
Yeah, I made this very clear earlier to JD Keynes. Like, I just told him he can take it or he can take a hike. There's not going to be any debate about this in my room, point blank.
Right. So the topic is atheists who got a lot of subscribers but don't have any real content on their YouTube channels. That's what we're talking about. So if somebody wants to make a comment about, as a matter of fact, Tommy Hall, you haven't said nothing yet, Tommy, and I know Wayne's been in here. You guys want to say something about this topic? And I'm going to increase the volume of JD Kane and Steve McCrae. Please wait your turn. If you don't, that'll be your final warning, and then you'll be gone. Tommy, you got something that you want to say, Tommy, about the topic?
Hello, good to see you.
Yeah.
Not really, but I mean, I'm sure as we go along, I might have more to say. But if the thing is if I was on, for example, 24/7 or close to it, then it's easy to gain subscribers and followers if you're on air a lot. So it's kind of hard to compare that with some of the Christians who may not spend as much time on air and say, "Oh, look how many subscribers I have." Well, I mean, if you have a constant advertisement, sort of kind of like a billboard up, then that's probably going to be one of the one of the benefits is you're going to naturally get more subscribers. Just like JD kind of has this, he's not on 24/7, but he has this regular show, and it's becoming more and more popular, so it spreads. But that's part of the side benefit of being on air regularly, which Christians for the most part haven't really had that too much.
Tommy, let me ask you a question, Tommy, and be 100% honest, no bias whatsoever. How much content do you think is on TST every week?
Oh, TST.
Content.
That's
you
pure
actually learn something.
That's pure entertainment. I mean, I think
That's not entirely
JD.
true.
I think JD, if he was being honest, it's all soap opera. It's all about people on the opposing side, and it's very, very, very little about actual content.
Well, I disagree. I disagree somewhat. I mean, we are. I'm not like G-Man. I don't do a persona. When you see whatever you see me here, you see me on talk. I'm the same person, and I'm expressing what I believe is the case. Now, I may do it in a bit ruder than I am in other times, but in the end, I'm saying what I actually believe. I'm not adding flourishes.
Yeah.
I'm not adding any kind of fiction to it.
Saying what you believe, like saying I have like less than average intelligence, right?
Yeah, I that's rude. I know it's rude.
One thing I've noticed about you guys,
I also believe it's an issue we've had with conversing with you.
Is you guys talking platitudes a lot?
Yeah, after you make your point, Tommy,
Platitudes.
I'm going to ask him about that exactly. Go ahead, Tommy.
Well,
What do you mean platitudes?
I guess you make very broad, sort of sweeping assertions, kind of like what you did when True just left the room a second ago. You're like,
Let's not bring that up because I can't defend it. Antonio kind of shut off that.
Yeah, I know, but kind of in that vein,
Antonio said no.
In that vein, you have a way of, and this goes for a lot of you guys, you talk in broad sweeping assertions without actually getting too deep.
I actually wanted to, but Antonio does not want to talk about that, and it's
okay, JD, let him finish. Go ahead.
I'm pretty much finished.
Okay.
Yeah,
if I can respond to the content thing.
Well, hold on. I said I was going to ask you about something. Now, why is it that you say I have less than average intelligence? What do you base that on specifically?
I really don't want to answer that. Well, I mean, it's just this only gets ruder at this point.
I'm putting your feet to the fire. Be a man. Let's talk like men. Be a man. Stop being a coward.
I will listen. I will tell you hard truths to your face, but it's gonna come no matter what I do, no matter what no matter what I'm pressing, it's gonna come off awfully nasty. I don't.
Antonio, let him talk. Right. Antonio, let him talk.
I will. You've probably seen like. All right, can I give me 30 seconds? Now, if you guys know the origination of talking, I'll say Stuff Tuesday. The origination of TST started with Brett Keane. He did a hangout where I was offended by what he was saying, and I made a hangout called Brett Keane Sucks. And he came in the room, and I laid into him as hard as I could. And I can do that to you, Antonio, but it's your room, and that's rude. If you really want me to, I'll explain, but it's going to sound nasty.
Hey, I'm a grown man. I can take it. Ain't nothing you can say anyway because I'll be able to
right.
with you because not that.
All right,
I don't find you that talented of a debater, to be honest anyway.
Okay.
So what's your question?
With that being said,
I've been asked this stuff before. I usually get booted soon after. That's the other issue. I kind of want to hang around.
JD, 1 second. With that being said, I'm gonna let JD King just go off until Antonio tells me to mute him. So JD Kane, I'm gonna increase your volume. Everybody else, stay muted. Antonio, brother, I know this is your channel. Just let him finish. Let's hear what he got to say, and then JD Kane, when you're done, do not interrupt Antonio. Go ahead, JD. Say what's on your mind. Why do you believe that he has a below average education?
Well, let me, Antonio, is that your question? Why do I think you're below average intelligence? Is that your question?
Yeah.
How you write? You write at a low grade reading level. I would probably. I've actually taken a few of the paragraphs you've written and put them into thing. It's like 4th or 5th grade reading level sometimes up to 8th. But you use very simple words when you talk. You take a great deal of time to understand what I consider simple concepts. I'm pretty smart. That's not a brag. It's just what the tests say. It doesn't mean anything. It's not something I'm in charge of. No one is in charge of their intelligence. You are, however smart you are. Your education is what really changes you. So I think you probably know a lot of things that I don't. Education is not the issue. It's that it seems to take you a long time to understand some pretty basic stuff. The fact that you rely on people who obviously don't know much about the field is another thing. People who are real knowledgeable about stuff and can pick up knowledge easily can usually pick up the fact that I can't mention Ronnie, but there's an argument there. I'm just not going to present it. So I hate talking about it. I think I also think you're a reasonably nice guy, at least. Well, not tonight. You're being a bit hostile, but that's fine. I can't fault you for that because I do it too. But yeah, G-Man in a similar way. When you see like title hangouts where there's like 3 misspelled words, you don't see that from people of high intelligence. I mean, even with modest education, they don't usually make those mistakes. Is that enough? I don't want to go on anymore. It's
okay. That's enough. Yeah, sure. So
Okay.
I'll respond, and then I'm next because
Okay, that's
I
quite
don't like what I got to say. Go ahead, Antonio.
That's quite laughable for one thing. Yeah, it may take a little time to collect my thoughts sometimes, but yeah, I want to make sure that I'm actually, saying the right thing, and I got my ducks in a row, and I'm not just talking stupid. And that's actually quite laughable because when I'm making comments, I tend to type fast. It's certain textual errors, but that's pretty much it. I mean, I've never heard that from anybody. Like, I had a passing grade, like not just a passing grade, but like a B+ in AP English. So I don't really know where you get this idea that, how I write or whatever is sort of low grade. I don't really know where you get that from, but if that's your personal opinion, you're more than welcome to it. It is what it is. But quite frankly, I just don't think you're that short of a debater, man. You're just not that good. Like we had a conversation about objective morality, and I just think you did quite terrible in that discussion.
Okay, and I want to very quickly give my respond to what J.D. Kane just got finished saying. So J.D. Kane thinks I'm an idiot, thinks I'm stupid, and he thinks all this other stuff. I have a below average education and everything, right? J.D. Kane, remember something, my friend. It was you who said that the word Christian wasn't in the Bible. It was you, my friend, who criticized the Bible in our debate, and I mean, you really criticized it. But then you lost the debate once we found out you never picked up the book and actually read it. Okay, you read 4 books about it. Okay. Also, keep in mind, J.D. King, that you have a show that comes on every week, up to like an hour and a half to 2 hours, sometimes maybe only an hour, from what I hear. Sir, you don't teach anybody anything on that show. No one learns anything. The only thing I've learned about evolution is that true empiricism is stupid and that he's dumb and he can't read. And as a matter of fact, I've even heard on your channel that Matt Slick doesn't even understand. Uses words too big and doesn't understand them or whatever. As far as my education goes, sir, I believe that documentation beats conversation. Sir, you've been trying to catch me on YouTube as far as the hangout scene goes and the views go and all that other stuff and whatnot, sir. And you are doing a very pitiful job of catching me, okay? I think I know what I'm doing on YouTube. And then the point about Antonio talking slow or thinking about what he's saying, you have somebody on TST that is the utter master of that, the master of the universe, Fiona, who takes her 100 years to say a simple sentence. You got Hogtie Champ that takes 100 years just to make a point. And you want to talk about Antonio and how Antonio wants to think before he speaks, which is what every child in school is taught to do when they go to school? Again, you have to first know what intelligence is, J.D. Kane, before you can criticize another person for not having it. I think I'm fairly smart. I think I'm really smart. I uploaded a video on atheism the other day and I got 12,000 views. I double dog dare you to make a video on theism and do the same thing. You actually have to know something about advertising. You have to actually know about the people that actually watch you on YouTube. You have to actually know something in order to do those things, JD. And I don't think you know anything regarding those things. No, sir. Just because I type fast and I choose not to do the spell check and all that stuff and whatnot doesn't make me dumb. All right. I know what I'm doing. What I'm doing is working. Okay. Now I'm going to increase your volume, and then I'm going to let you make a fool out of yourself some more.
Can I go next before you do, JD, real quick?
I don't have a rebuttal. I said my thing. You guys said your thing is fine. We leave it there.
Can I address the question, Antonio, in a way?
Steve could take my time.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead, man.
I think one of the things we measure intelligence is be able to actually see who's making a legitimate argument and see who's kind of making some scientific claims that are more correct than others. When people are listening to you, Antonio, and I think you would have a bias right now to probably say that what G-Man just said, you would take more into account than what we've been trying to tell you. That is why we would say that we think that you probably do have less than of a modicum of an intelligence level compared to most people, because what G-Man just said was complete bumpkiss. he used an example, for example. This is how I want to show you how to dissect what people say. He used the example of one time when JD, and it was probably about a year ago, I don't know, that he didn't know the word Christian was in the Bible. That's the one thing that he's harped on for how long? So you pick one particular thing that JD recognized he made a mistake on. We all make mistakes. And he that's what an intelligent person does. I made a mistake the other day. Well, I wouldn't say a mistake per se, but I got cornered in my own argument by Ocean and Stizer of all people. They made a really good argument. Okay,
Stizer, really?
Yeah, and yeah, they even did. Yeah, even Ocean was like, "Holy crap, we're on the same page on here." But I realized I'd painted myself in a corner, so I did the intelligent thing and said, "Yes, you know what? I concede." That's what an intelligent person does. You admit when you make mistakes. What we're trying to tell you is that people like G-Man, who is here, so I'm not talking about behind his back, and other people that we were well familiar with, they don't admit when they're wrong. What they do is they keep on saying, no, I'm right, let me explain to you why, and then they make it even worse. And when you, Antonio, who we do like, I'm not lying when I say I like your hangouts. I'm willing to come into your hangouts. You know I will never go into truth, right? So it's not a matter of who I want to talk to. It's a matter of more what form we're dealing with, right? When we're telling you, two seconds. But Antonio, when you're unable to look at these conversations and see who's being really honest and who's telling the truth when it comes to the scientific things and who's actually really saying, okay, I could be wrong on this and maybe I'm wrong on this, but I'm not wrong on this. That's when we kind of have to say, is this person really able to have critical thinking skills to evaluate these types of conversations? And that's what all I mean by that. Okay.
Yeah, and if you want something I've screwed up recently, I've screwed up way more than the Christian thing. Just recently in a talk about morality, I flat out contradicted myself. I said something that was consistent with non-cognitivism, and then said something that contradicts it. Like because I'm very fuzzy on this. I'm still trying to find my way in morality. And Alex Malpass was there, PhD philosopher, and he's like, yeah, that's a contradiction there. Like, oh well, crap. Yeah, I did. Son of a bitch. It happens. It's when you own up to it. Like the Christian thing, 30 minutes after I said it, an atheist came in and said, dude, it actually does appear. And I went, oh, oops, happens. But we're still hearing about, years later. How long did it take G-Man to, how long did the chocolate atheist fiasco go on before he went, maybe I didn't debunk a fallacy? Days and days.
Just real quick, G-Man.
Wait a minute. Antonio, let me respond to some of this, please.
Sure.
What McRae did was a clever job of cherry picking. He heard 3 responses. He picked one and then didn't talk about the other 2. I also mentioned Steve McRae. Pay attention, okay? Because in grade school they teach us a concept called listening, okay? I also mentioned the fact that I had a debate with J.D. Kane where he attempted to dog the Bible for the majority of the debate. I played stupid for the majority of that debate until the Q&A came. Hogtie Champ tried to protect him up until the Q&A because I knew I only had to ask one question. Did you actually read the book? Because if you didn't read the book, then my next question is going to be, how do you know if somebody's telling you the truth or lying to you about the book to be able to criticize it? You understand what I'm saying? That you chose not to listen to. Okay. And I said something else too that you chose to ignore as well. So again, Steve, that's called cherry picking. Oh, and by the way, all the stuff about you guys liking Antonio, I got a story with you guys telling me that, Veckel that. Tommy Hall's probably got a story. There's a whole bunch of us Christians on here at one time where you guys actually liked us until you saw that we wasn't going to change our mind. And then after that, we get in phase 3, and that's when the slander comes. You start dropping people and using their real name. I mean, that's really intelligent to do here on YouTube. You know what I mean? So come on, guys. Don't talk to me like I'm stupid. I know both your histories. All right?
And the thing is, yeah, man. And the thing is, Steve, there's certain things that I do like about you, man. I'll be honest. But there's other things that I severely, really, really dislike about you. I mean, I'm going to just be far up front with you and JD Kane tonight in here. I think you two got a really bad ego problem, and you have this endless need to try to pin your intelligence against other people's. I don't know if it's to make you look good in front of other people or to boost yourself up. I don't know. But that to me is a sign of insecurity, and it makes you sound like a bunch of little men. It's ridiculous that y'all seem to have this endless need to put y'all intelligence against other people's. There's no need for that at all. None.
Well, I mean, pitting your intelligence against other people is how we learn. I mean, that's how I learned that I contradict myself. I talk to someone who is smarter and knows more than I do.
That's not what I mean. But y'all do it in such a way to like kind of belittle people.
Well, no, Antonio, I don't. Let me explain to you what.
Yes, you do.
I do, but it very much depends on who I'm talking to.
Yeah.
It's important to. It depends on who I'm talking to. Antonio, you and I could probably have some very polite conversations. Probably not here. G-Man and I were always going to end at each other's throats because of how G-Man is. And I respond in kind. That's how I work. I talk to Rand Cam very differently than I would talk to, I think, another play person like Wayne. I disagree greatly on Wayne's theology, but we can have a conversation. Certain people, they have different. All right, G-Man, we're not lying, unless you mean lying in the Bible way, like a mistake. Sure, I could be mistaken, but you haven't demonstrated that yet. I am telling you what I believe is the case, though, so I'm not lying.
And I gotta say though, I
really wish we could get on the same page with the lying thing, because I hear that
I'm gonna address that
often.
too.
I'm like, I'm not telling you something that I believe is false. I'm telling you something.
Okay, that's not what a lie is, JD Kane. Okay, so the reason why I'm calling you a liar is because we can look at TST and we can look at Steve McRae's Hangouts, and we can see how you're using your intelligence to belittle people. Stop talking to us like we're stupid. Okay, we see what you're doing, and so does the people that are watching this Google Hangout. You're not fooling nobody.
All right. Again, well,
that's the problem. Y'all sound like
now I got 4 things I got to address, Antonio. Now I got 4 things I got to address because we got to change things. One, I wasn't cherry picking. I took one example of what G-Man said just to give a brief example. Okay. These are cumulative type arguments. Okay. We could go back in history and see all the things that G-Man has done about, cherry picking and not looking at the evidence and all this other stuff. But when he had asked, what was my critique of his argument, I always don't using it as an example to show Antonio that this is what Antonio should be doing. This is, if you want to critique somebody's argument, say, okay, look what G-Man said. G-Man said something about Christianity not being in the Bible that JD messed up a long time ago. Well, what does that relevancy have to do with anything? That's how you critique an argument. Antonio, you should have been jumping on that. So you know what? Yeah, but that's something that JD knew he was wrong on. It's minor. It's trivial to say the least. If that's the worst thing that somebody can actually make a mistake on, that's pretty damn good to me.
There are way worse mistakes I've made.
Way worse mistakes. Yeah, I mean,
look, there's a difference.
But I'm actually watching a leopard on here attempting to not have spots anymore. Steve McRae, you're so full of garbage.
I got interrupted, by the way. I had 4 points and I only got past 1.
I can screen share your own channel to refute you.
This is why conversations with G-Man devolve like this.
I know. This is what used to be. This is what we're trying to make aware of people.
Okay, so I was in the middle of talking. All right. So Colt the Dusty made a video saying that he loved Christians, that he was one of the most hardcore atheists, and he loved us and whatnot. And then what I would do is I would cut that little point out. Okay, after he said that he loved us and made all these so-called wonderful comments about us, and then I showed him what he said about us in the past and what he said in the recent past. Okay, to expose what kind of a liar he is. Okay, what you guys are coming on here is like, we like you. That's how we test our intelligence, by attacking other people and belittling them, by comparing our intelligence with theirs. Anybody can watch TST. Anybody can watch your Hangout, Steve, and they can see how I've been treated in your room, how other people's been treated in your room, and they will know that you are a liar. Go look at what JD does in his room every single week. The man is a liar. All right, and I don't even need to say that anymore because everyone watching this knows that you are a liar. All right. Let me increase your volumes again. But I would appreciate if you guys start being who you guys are and stop coming here being fake, acting like we don't know who we're talking to.
Yeah, and
Antonio, I do want to go next, please.
Stop, wait a minute. Wait. And I ain't got no problem with y'all want to critique arguments. That's not the issue. But there's a difference between critiquing arguments and thinking people are just stupid because they disagree with y'all. And I know you're very hostile to people who identify themselves as young earth creationists, Steve. I know you are. So,
really? Okay, first of all.
Yes, you are. You are quite hostile. You are quite hostile to young earth creationism. That seems to reflect.
Anyways,
that seems to reflect.
Antonio,
Wait, I'm not done. And that seems to reflect how you deal with people. Y'all seem to constantly, measure people's intelligence and whether they agree with y'all or not. And just measure intelligence all day. Yeah, I do it in such a belittling fashion constantly. I just think you dudes are just a bunch of insecure little men who can't get off your dang soapbox and your ego trips.
Okay, Antonio, I'd like to.
Well, actually, Steve,
no, Jeff, I'm going next, JD.
McCray said I stole
I'm going next, JD. Antonio, I want to thank you for the hangout, but I'm going to be. I want to thank you for the hangout, Antonio, if you'll let me.
And these people are claiming that they're get the heck out of here. Who do you guys think you're fooling here?
Antonio, I'd like to thank you for the hangout. Unfortunately, this is not conducive to having a conversation when G-Man gets to basically mute everybody and lower their volume and not interrupt and then make his point. So I'm going to go and I'm going to have my hangout.
Have fun, Steve. What do you got to say, JD King?
Well, first, why'd you boot him? He's going to leave on his own.
I booted him because, I'm just tired of the fakeness. I mean, you said
he's going to leave on his own.
You called me fake earlier in this room. Wait a minute. You called me fake in this room earlier. And you said that you're pretty consistent with who you are.
I don't think I ever called you fake.
With who you are on every Tuesdays.
Okay,
every Tuesday when you're doing TST. Why don't you be that, JD King?
Okay, I don't remember calling you fake. I said you put on a persona, but I didn't mean you're not telling the truth.
I put on a persona. Yeah. Oh, okay.
You agreed to that. I mean, you're the one. I got that when you told us that. Here's why I want to get the bot.
What I mean by that.
Disagree.
Brand versus who I am as a person. If you
that's what I'm talking about.
How I act in these Google Hangouts, and you go look at how I conduct myself in public when I'm out there dealing with the Hebrew Israelites, I am identical. I am not being fake. Okay.
All right, well, then we're using different words. I agree. I mean the same thing that you're talking about. All right. Now, I do want to get to the bottom of this lying thing. What do you mean when you say that I'm lying?
Oh, is when you're intentionally.
Not examples, but
intentionally being dishonest, where you're trying to intentionally troll and get under somebody's skin to get them upset. When you know something to be the truth, and you sit there and you pretend like it's not, and you try to deceive other people into believing something else.
Well, that's that's not a very good definition. I mean, trolling isn't really a part of lying, as far as I'm aware of.
That was an explanation. That wasn't my definition.
Right. What was the definition?
I gave you a definition, and then I went into an explanation. Do you know what that?
I missed that. Yes, I do. What was the definition exactly?
The definition is when you're intentionally trying to deceive people to believe something that you know is not true.
Oh well, then that's false. I'm not. I believe what I'm saying.
No, well, no, you don't. No,
you can believe otherwise, but you presented no evidence that I am intentionally trying to deceive.
Really? Okay, so you said I stole a safe. I showed evidence, legal evidence, that I didn't.
I've not seen that.
Now explain to me how you know. Whoa! Explain to me how you know better than the Jersey City Police. Okay, and my lawyer. I want to know how you know better than them.
I didn't really want to go into this, but I mean, I've not seen your evidence or heard.
Wait a minute, JD Kane. JD Kane, you got mad at me when I threatened to flag your channel about that. Talk to you privately about this. I explained to you what my lawyer and what the police said.
Let me look up the chat real quick.
And now you and Steve McCray are both going around saying, "Oh, J-Man stole a shave," and you said it's not lying. Okay, right now, prove to me how you have better evidence than the Jersey City Police or my lawyer. I'm waiting to hear it.
Well, yeah, the issue is you've switched now from intentionally deceiving to being mistaken. I could be mistaken, and maybe you didn't.
No, you're not being mistaken. You are lying.
You haven't demonstrated that.
Oh my God! Yes, I did, JD.
I'm looking for the JD,
is it now possible? So let me ask you something. If DD came in here and said that that atheists don't know how to tell the truth, don't know the difference between the truth and a lie, and use a presuppositional argument on you, most of us in this room knows you're going to get upset if one of us tried to use that argument with you, or we invited DD in here right now to argue with you that way. But then now you're trying to say that you know more than the Jersey City Police and that you know more than my lawyer to know that I stole a safe.
I haven't said either of those things.
Yes, you have.
When?
On your channel. Okay.
When did I say that?
As a matter of fact, I believe you did the video right after. It was either during when True Empiricism made his video, or it was right after, and then he made a video right after that. It was me, True. I think Antonio was there and Vecco was there.
Okay.
We talked about this, and again, you wasn't there. You don't know what happened. You're going by secondhand information, and you're gonna sit there and tell me I stole something when you wasn't even there.
Right. In which case, I might be.
I am a grown man. I will talk to you like you're a grown man if you start acting like it.
All right. In which case, I might be mistaken. I don't think I am. Therefore, I'm not lying.
No, you're being fake right now, JD Kane.
Okay,
Anybody wants to know what I'm talking about, go to JD Kane's channel and you'll see what I mean.
No, you've not demonstrated this at all.
Yes, I have.
No, you haven't. Do it now. Prove it. Prove that I'm lying. Proof that
We
I'm
were
lying right
talking
now.
about whether or not somebody had intelligence
Start
or not.
alluding. No,
Because
stop
Jersey City
alluding.
police-
Stop alluding to evidence you think I may have presented some other time or something I said.
wait a minute, hold on. If the Jersey City police said I didn't do anything, and my lawyer said I didn't do anything, who exactly are you to tell them that they're wrong? I'm listening.
All right, Antonio, if we're going to have a heated conversation.
Okay, he has background music on. I'm not going to increase his volume until he turns that background music off. I don't know what that was. Your channel can get flagged for that, Antonio. So you might want to be careful with that. Antonio, you there? Tommy Hall, you there?
Oh yeah, I'm here, man. I just got some messages on Skype.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Tommy Hall, you there, Tommy Hall?
Yep, I'm here.
Hey, Tommy, tell me something. What has your experience been on TST when you've been on the show and when they've been talking about you? Have they been respectful and not lied about you and told the truth about you and everything?
I haven't been on there very much, maybe once. But no, it's mostly they're just throwing trash. They're just throwing insults around and try to make people look like a fool, like an idiot, like they don't know what they're talking about, like they shouldn't even be opening their mouths. What's that?
Were they truthful?
Truthful? You know how they are. Most of it is their opinions. If there was an outright lie, and there probably have been, I would call them on it. But most of it is just, like I said earlier, just kind of platitudes and just sweeping generalizations that, they're empty insults generally.
Do you understand science?
You're asking me if I understand science? I think I do.
According
Parts of it.
to them, you don't. According to these guys, you don't understand. So do you understand science?
Well, according to them, no. But I
well, here's what they think. According to science, people who actually believe in real science, not just
look, it's their arrogance. I was going to say this earlier. Their arrogance. Because of their arrogance, they automatically, they have ascended to the quote unquote intelligent. So people like Antonio, because of who you are and what you are, a creationist, and you're not swayed by their opinions or their quote unquote evidence that they present, that automatically makes you not part of their intelligent group. So it's funny how I was listening to this earlier, and they were talking about slow speech, and that's an indication of intelligence, which is truly laughable, because I would dare say that, that's a trait a lot of times of people who are highly intelligent, so, and like you were saying, Antonio, yeah, I mean, it's something that it's just, we all have our way of expressing ourselves. And it's like, I can talk fast sometimes. And when I do talk fast, I tend to think less, or say less intelligent things. So it's much more intelligent to contemplate your words and talk slowly. So I just thought it was funny because they were accusing you of being unintelligent, yet I heard nothing that stuck. So it's merely because you don't agree with their worldview that they're going to label you as such. But that's what they do. That when they can't argue the actual evidence effectively, then that's what they fall back on. It's the personal insult.
Yeah, now I have to apologize to the viewers that it came to this, but sometimes when things get to a particular apex and stuff got to be hashed out, there's just no getting around it. Sometimes people got to act like men and hash these things out like men, no matter how ugly it may seem or how ugly it could possibly get. This is how men settle their differences.
I think JD King broke a record. This is the longest I've been in a room with him in a long time. I think he broke some type of record with me.
Well, I was going to say one more thing about that. And I've had that charge against me that I'm stupid too, but I guess it's a long time ago I learned not to really try to fight that or anything, because I'll even wear that dunce cap if that's what they want to label me as. But when a dunce can waltz into a room and put some difficult questions onto the PhD that she can't answer or he can't answer, then what does that tell you about what they're pushing? And the fact that they have to interrupt us constantly and they won't let us talk or finish our sentences, to get our point out. You know, if they were really interested in the truth, or if they were really interested in hearing our side so that they could intellectually defeat us, they would actually let us finish our sentence. But that's so rare because I think they know they're in a position of weakness. And so, yeah, let them think all they want that we're stupid or whatnot, low IQ.
Just real quick.
It just makes it all that sweeter.
I'm going to leave this up to you two. Hawkeye wants to come in here. I'm not really in the mood, but if you two don't mind him in here, he can come in. What do y'all think?
No, I don't care.
Oh, my God. And, you know, I think Christians need to talk for a little while first because Hogtie probably wants to come in here and really contribute to the conversation. But the guy takes too long to get to a point.
He does do that.
Yeah, man. I'm sorry, man, because I was in here yesterday, you know, and Dee, oh, God, no, I can't.
But let me say this about Hogtie. You know, there's a lot of guys on here, and I was on here with one of them earlier in a different hangout, and they just won't let you finish. They're rude, they're insulting, but Hogtie, as many differences as I have with him, I'll give him the credit that at least generally he's generally cordial, which, you know, is a big thing around here. So I'll give him props for that, and he is very long-winded, which is tiresome. But at least he's friendly enough, I think, and I like talking to him. So if he wants to come in, or if you want to let him in, that's fine with me.
I do have a question for Hogtie regarding the magic sandwich. Well, I'll ask him on Google Plus.
Well, we didn't got everything else out in the air. Why not? We didn't got everything else out in the air. Why not?
If you want to invite me in, that's fine. I mean, it's your room, bro. But if I leave, you know why. You know, I don't know if I can sit there and wait for him to take 80 minutes.
Well, he said he was going to keep his comments to a minimum, so I'll give him like 2 minutes.
Okay.
Sometimes I wish I had that sort of wind. If I had a little bit more of that wind, it would be good. But it's very impressive what he's got. You know, how he can keep those thoughts rolling constantly for minutes on end, literally, is impressive.
So I just sent him the link on Skype, and he's about to come in.
But if I can just briefly go into the content thingy again, I think it's important to realize that, like on my channel and True Empiricism channel and Tony or your channel, as long as your channel has content where somebody's going to be able to listen to what you have to say and walk away feeling like they've learned something, feeling like they can utilize the information that they've gotten, then that person has contributed something to society. But if you got somebody who's got a bunch of subscribers, and mind you, you can walk away entertained. I don't actually got a problem with that. I think people should walk away entertained with some of these conversations. But you got to learn something. You have to pick up something from the conversation where you like, okay, I get this person's point. So-and-so made a mistake by doing this. This is the correct way to say this. And this is the conclusion that you are to come to if you are to use what the science books are telling you. But you're never going to hear that on TST. All you constantly hear on TST, that it's not even TST, the Drunken Peasants or any of these shows that are just there just to entertain people. You know what I mean? You're going to walk away being entertained, but you're not going to learn nothing. You're not going to walk away thinking, wow, this person has got a really good argument and I need to respect it. It's very rare to hear that on a Drunken Peasants or a TST, or you might hear it actually on the Magic Sandwich Show, but you're definitely not going to hear on TST or the Drunken Peasants. As a matter of fact, you'll see a lot of these atheists and even Christians be divided with who they'll watch. Some of them won't even waste their time and watch TJ and the Amazing Atheists and TST, but they'll watch the Magic Sandwich Show or one of those shows where they have intellectuals going in there like Ozzy Mendez. What's the other dude name?
Concordance. You're probably thinking of Concordance.
Yeah, Concordance.
You said
DPR. Yeah, Aaron Raw and those guys and whatnot. We'll listen to them. But I can't sit through an entire episode of the Drunken Peasants where all they're doing is jerking off to some music or something like that, and there's nothing to learn from that. Why am I going to sit there for 3 hours and watch that? I'm not going to.
I don't watch the Magic Show, but do they have contrary voices on that show? Like
sometimes
creationists or atheists or Christians. What's that?
Can I comment? Because they do or don't have.
No, I'm asking. I don't watch the show. I was just curious if Magic Sandwich had Christians or creationists.
Oh, okay. Well, you're okay. At the risk of giving you a long answer, you kind of touched a nerve with me. It used to be one of the first sort of internet broadcast shows, like Atheist Experience, for example, right? They have people can call in, and when they don't have people call in, it's boring as hell. Magic Sandwich was like the first internet-based one where they had people call in, and but then there'd be segments where it was, well, let's focus on this topic and not have people call in. Being honest, in the last couple of years of Magic Sandwich, I mean, we've been down for about 3 or 4 months now. We're on hiatus, I guess. But honestly, in the last couple of years, since we've gone back to the Skype format, it's really hard to add people to the calls. And I'll be honest with you, I think it's hurt the show. I think it really helps a lot when you get people like Matt Bell used to call in frequently. G-Man's been on a couple of times. And so my answer to your question is, yes, we used to. No, not so much anymore, but gee, I wish we did.
You have a voice on there, though. How come you don't suggest?
Well, yeah, because actually, I'm glad you asked me about this now because we can talk about it a little bit. But I imagine you guys were talking about other things. But just so people know, no, we're kind of on hiatus now. I mean, everybody knows DPR was really the major, the whip cracker for the show, to be like, hey, what are our topics? Let's get our information out ahead of time. What articles do we need to read? You know, who's our guests? We have people set up. You know. But now that he's finished his master's degree and he started his PhD, and it's a big time commitment. And all the rest of us have been like, you know, he'll message us on you know, usually middle of the week to say who's going to be here this weekend, and the rest of us, I'll try, you know. I mean, I was pretty regular. There's very few episodes I missed, but it's you know, for the others it was, well, I might be traveling or I might be busy with this or whatever. And now that DPR is busy, it's just really hard to so we just decided, like, no, it's better, instead of to sort of throw things together at the last minute, let's take a few months off. Let's let DPR sort of get caught up where he is with the stuff. I'm dealing with some issues this summer it's kept me away from Sunday broadcasts. And we just said, let's stand it down for a while, and, you know, watch your feeds, because there might be an announcement. You know, we're going to start doing them again soon. But if we do, I take your point, G-Man. I should put in the pitch for, let's pick a format where it's easy to add people. Let's you know, get more people into the shows.
You said you had a question for Hogtie, G-Man.
That was the question.
That was it. That's what it was. Yeah.
Okay.
No. That wasn't the question.
Was it? Okay.
It is true, though, right? I'm right about the divide in the atheist community a little bit, where we have a lot of the intellectuals watching the Magic Sandwich Show versus the DP fans. Because when I first went on DP, a lot of people was telling me that the DP fans ain't really all that crazy about the Magic Sandwich Show, you know, and vice versa. Obviously, the Magic Sandwich Show fans were too much involved in like the deep conversations that you guys were having, and they didn't really like the Amazing Atheists and those guys and shows like that, which is one of the reasons why I'm surprised you even go on TST. But I guess my question for you is there a divide in the atheist community, in the sense that some people would prefer to watch your show, the Magic Sandwich Show, because you guys have a lot of people that watch that, versus DP fans?
Yeah, I know. I wouldn't consider it a divide in the atheist community. I mean, there's certainly very, very different bubbles of people, right? There's people who watch and participate in Magic Sandwich, and there's people who watch and participate in Drunken Peasants. But I don't consider that a divide in the atheist community. The same way, if you ask me, like, you know, there are these corners of YouTube where people will argue over which is better, Xbox or PlayStation. What are we up to now, PS4 or whatever?
I didn't mean like that, but I got you.
Yeah, and if you said to me, well, geez, some people watch these Xbox things, I don't mean Xbox Fiend, some people watch these videos, these playthrough on Xbox, and other people watch Magic Sandwich Show. Do you consider that a divide in the atheist community? And I'd go, no, those people are talking about video games.
Divide's a bad word. I guess preference would have been better.
But I guess my point, to put it more plainly, is that I'm saying if I need to make a pie chart or a Venn diagram. If this is the atheist community, you know, some of them like the Magic Sandwich Show, others don't, and then you've got Drunken Peasants over here. I'm putting my hands out of frame because I maybe, to put it plainly, I don't consider them part of the atheist community. And I guess let me explain it this way: is that if you were to pie chart atheists, that just around, let's pick the United States, right? I mean, there's lots of atheists around, and most of them go, I don't really believe that stuff, that's fine. Hey, I want to go play Xbox, or I want to go do something else. They don't participate in what you might consider the atheist community. I mean, G-Man, do you consider, if somebody is an atheist, They don't go to church. They don't believe. They don't say anything about it. But if you ask them, they say, "Well, no, I don't believe. In fact, I'm an atheist." But they don't ever join a Google Hangout to talk about their atheism. Either one hosted by Nephilim Free or Stephen Craig. Would you consider them part of the atheist community?
You're kind of overkilling it because you answered my question already regarding.
Okay.
I used a bad word when I said divide. I meant preference.
Yeah, I just don't think they're part. I mean, I guess my point, and I don't want to couch it. I just don't think they're part of the atheist community. And I'm not saying, oh, they're not part of the community. I'm just saying they're not interested in that stuff. Like I think the Amazing Atheist has positioned himself, perhaps even accidentally, as like an atheist spokesman. But he really doesn't do much material on atheism issues, right? I mean, he goes and he used to do a lot of stuff. But maybe I'm speaking out of place here, G-Man, because actually I don't really watch the Drunken Peasants. So what do they talk about on Drunken Peasants? Do they talk about?
I don't really watch it that much either. All I know is the majority of what you're watching on the Drunken Peasants is entertainment. When people watch the Magic Sandwich Show, you guys are talking about a specific topic. Like you guys might be talking about Doctors Without Borders. You might be talking about evolution. You might be talking about a topic that's really hot on YouTube or something that happened in the news. Yeah, they'll do it too, but the majority of what you're watching is just a bunch of mindless entertainment.
That's the impression I get, and it's something. It's a type of
peasants. I was told by people in my community and in your community, or people that are atheists and people that are theists, was telling me that the DP fans are very different from the Magic Sandwich Show fans, which is why I asked the question I just asked you about the preference, and I made a mistake and used the word divide.
Yeah, no, I'm not too concerned about that. I think where I'm a little confused by it is the suggestion that Drunken Peasants or the Drunken Peasants fans are part of sort of the atheist side of the great debate community. I just don't think they really participate in that stuff. Like, if you're going to, I think you and I are in the same boat on this, G-Man, that we want to watch videos and participate in conversations where we're going to talk about presuppositional apologetics, or we're going to talk about the chemistry of DNA, or we're going to talk about good reasons or bad reasons to believe in Christianity or in evolution and whatnot. And I mean, the impression I get, and someone might need to correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think that's really what they talk about on Drunken Peasants. And but I might not know, because again, I don't watch it, so I don't want to sit here and tell you, well, they don't talk about the things I mentioned.
They do a little bit. They do.
We don't really watch it, do we?
Ain't nothing but an entertainment sphere. That's all it is.
Yeah, it comes up once in a while, but I mean, you watch the morning news where they sit there and have their coffee and muffins. I mean, once in a while they'll talk about what's going on at CERN and some particle accelerator, but they're not really interested in that stuff.
So. Two things I want to say. Hogtie, I know you asked Antonio to come in here because you wanted to say something, and I just want to say something about the chat here. And when I do that, I'm going to mute my microphone and let Hogtie say whatever it is that he wanted to say when he came here initially. Fiona put in I don't know if this was towards Tommy or whether it was towards Antonio or myself. All I see is, but you are stupid. I don't.
You know what?
I don't have an IQ test with Fiona.
You know what? If she wants to come in here, I'll let her in here now.
Yeah. I would gladly talk. Fiona's a theist, according to her, and she's a Roman Catholic. I would like to talk to her about Christianity, and I'll prove to her real fast that she should be. I mean, if she does have a PhD, and Fiona's older than me, she has more wisdom than I do when it comes to certain areas. I'll give her that. But that woman doesn't know that Bible better than me, so I like to know exactly what she means by me being stupid. Like, in what field is she talking about?
I'll happily give her the link. She want to talk crap and say people are stupid. Come in here and prove it, Fiona.
I'll put some lube on my foot, and I will educate Fiona.
Yeah, that's funny. You had to convene a panel to decide whether I can come in for 10 minutes, and then but Fiona will have her rush in. Yeah, and actually I do. It's getting close to supper time for the kids, so I'm going to stay for as long as you guys will have me, and then I got to go and do that. So, yeah. You know what? Can I just reflect a little bit? And I appreciate. Actually, let me address this issue first about how long I talk. Look, I understand this. This is a vice. I mean, this is everybody has things they like about themselves and things they don't. This is something I wish I could change about myself. I will say, and this is going to be an honest assessment about things I post to Google Plus or when I'm talking in Hangouts. I'm going to say sort of report card pros and cons here. When I start saying something or when I start typing something, I know what my point is, and I'm going to get to it. Now, I appreciate that sometimes I put in so much sort of little meandering in the way that it ends up making it too long. And as you're listening to it, you're like, well, are we getting to a point? And I understand that Beckel's on my case about it all the time. I get it. I'll try to shorten things, but I at the same time, I want you guys to have some respect for it's worth your investment. If I've got something to say, it's going to take me 3 minutes. When I get to the 3-minute mark, you're going to go, oh, I get what his point is. Antonio and I talk quite a bit, and I think he sees that quite a bit. So I accept your criticism about that. But as long as you understand that, I really don't like the people who open their mic and start talking and then sort of hope that they find their point at some point while they're talking. So I would like to think I'm not one of those people. If I can, I just want to reflect a little bit on what I heard. I started listening around the 1 hour mark, and the first thing I heard was about somebody justifying or explaining why they think Antonio is not intelligent or not well educated or something. And then we got this thing about intelligence and IQ, and I'm going to tell you, from listening from the outside without hearing what happened in the first hour, I just think, like, how did you guys even get on that topic? I don't know how it helps the conversation for us to sit around, especially over the fence, right? Just for me to provide assessment or you to provide assessment of my intelligence. Like, I mean, I think this is going to be my main point here. I have a lot of concerns. Antonio and I have talked about our shared concerns about the nature of the conversation, the tone of the conversation, the basic lack of respect for, some people just simply can't muster respect for some other people. Antonio and I have talked about it a couple of times. Tommy, and I hope Tommy had heard this when I've said it before, as I want to repeat it here. I heard Tommy start his series where he's going to start talking to people one-on-one, where the introduction of his first episode, he made this point about how I just don't like these hangouts where people are just yelling and over-talking each other. I want to have respectful conversations. And I heard that and I went, yes, for as much as Tommy and I disagree about whatever, I completely agree with that. Now, G-Man, I don't know what your take is on how the conversation is going. Just one moment. I don't know what your take on it is, G-Man, but I am going to disclose to people that you and I have exchanged messages, not at all for months. We've literally stopped talking to each other, in part because I detect your level of real contempt for me. But we did sort of open a door to some conversation a couple days ago, and the only vibe I got from it was me saying, look, G-Man, I'd kind of like to talk a bit about the tone of the conversation, about can we go back to the days of some sort of respect? And your response, as I'll paraphrase, was basically just shut the hell up. Your response was just to tell me that I was wrong about that. My suggestion was you should think about maybe the tone, and you just, well, okay, you're wrong. But anyway, I want to leave my point at this. This was the only reason when I was listening to this conversation, I went, here are gentlemen that are in the room, Steve, JD, Tommy, Antonio, G-Man, I don't know how you feel about it, but all these people agree that this is good conversation and it's fun. And further, I think the second thing we agree on is, why has it gotten so shitty lately? It's really, really been awful. So I just wanted to come in to ask you guys what you thought about that.
Well, that's why I eliminated myself from the what we were doing. I mean, Steve had his thing going on, and I would occasionally insert myself into the hangout. And it was just like oil and water, and it seemed to get worse, not better. And I want nothing more, honestly, than to discuss, say, with Steve or with Fiona in a serious sort of way that doesn't involve any personal attacks or any sort of kind of, cut down games or any of that stuff, because I find that all to be distracting, and quite honestly, I'm not very good at it. So I always get beat up on that end. Because I'm not good at cutting people down. But I would love to actually get into some of these discussions on a deeper level and do it respectfully. And so that's kind of why I did what I did and said what I said. And I still would like to do some more of those one-on-one or one-on-two or two-on-two conversations with people, because I think not only is that something that I like, but I think it's something the audience, if they're being honest and serious, they prefer that, other than always being like the soap opera. Like, JD has his thing, and there's a place for that, but that only goes so far. People at some point, it's a yin and a yang. You got to have some fun, and you got to have some seriousness. And it seemed like before it was just getting too much over the top soap opera, and I had to de-insert myself. And so hopefully we can get to be somewhat friendly towards each other again, with a little bit of a break, at least on my part, and we can get back together and discuss things like adults. And I think part of the problem too was when we get 9 or 10 people in a room, it doesn't work. You know, like something like this for 3 or 4 people is much more conducive to being friendly.
Yeah, let me give my quick synopsis on how I can know where I stand with this. On my channel, I don't even do Hangouts no more. And when I do, it's the Evolutionists Bring It, which is super rare now. I have a podcast that I started on my YouTube channel where I talk about the Hebrew Israelites. And I've changed all of the rules about who comes into my room to talk about them. The only time I actually get into these Hangouts now is if I come into Antonio's room, Brett King's room, Troy Paris's room, or somebody else's room, or Nadia's room, or something like that. And I don't know what you mean about these conversations getting like really what you just said earlier, because normally when I make my points, it's the same arguments I've been making on here for years. You know what I mean? Obviously with some new stuff that I've been bringing up about atheists not really being real, and and things like that and whatnot. So as far as I go, I don't know what you're talking about with these personal attacks and whatnot. When I make a video, I try to make the point to show how I perceive the community and how they're acting and what they're teaching and what they're right about and what they're wrong about, and to show them the inconsistencies. As far as me getting into a whole bunch of personal attacks, you're gonna have to show me the video you're talking about. On my
This one.
I don't know what it is. I disagree with these Google Hangouts. I actually think a podcast actually is a better format if you're gonna have a really serious, deep conversation. Antonio's room is good because Antonio allows everybody to talk, and whether he agrees or disagrees with the person, he's at least gonna let you finish your thought.
Antonio, I think, has got a great motto. I almost think he should make like his title screen be Antonio Fletcher, and then in brackets this motto underneath that says, "Let him finish, man. Let him make his point." That should be that's like the caption for this channel. It's a simple courtesy, and so many of us forget it. If I can really quick respond to Tommy's point, just to agree with it, and again, I really, when I heard you, Tommy, when I heard you say in your opening thing about how you thought the conversation was really suffering, I just went, man, the guy's got it. He's absolutely right. Yeah, a big part of it is the 10-person Hangouts. And even if you could mix it 5 and 5, I mean, it's bad enough. I mean, 7 on 3 or 9 on 1, good Lord.
Yeah.
It can be done as long as it's the right people involved that know that they're going to be in a high energy conversation. And please don't take it too seriously. And also, there has to be some decent moderation. Most important, self-moderation. These Hangouts we've been having, these 8-hour things that just go on and people just start arguing. There isn't self-moderation, and there really aren't people who will stand up and do some actual proper moderation. And then what ends up happening is you get somebody who comes in and decides to over-moderate. They get mod controls, and then they decide, well, now I'm just going to start hiding people. It just turns ugly. We should be able to self-moderate a little bit better. So I agree with you, and so I think what we need more of, by the way, and that's not going to go away. I don't think we shouldn't have the 10-person Hangouts. I'm saying it's like everything else you do in life. Have you ever just called up a buddy and be like, oh, come on, let's go for coffee, or let's get a table at the pool hall and get a couple of beer and just you and me talking, or maybe it's 4 people. And then sometimes you'll go to a place that's a little more raucous, a little bit more energy and people talking. And I think the mix is actually really good for the community. But when I look, I think famously. True empiricism and I, as far as anybody knows, when that live light is on, we just really hate each other. We just really don't get along, and it's just not true. Like, I've always had felt comfortable and had the freedom to talk to True on Skype, and you've ever noticed, like, we've done Hangouts where it's just he and I on his channel. We've done Hangouts where I'm hosting and it's just he and I on mine. G-Man has once hosted a Hangout for us that went great. Like, we just, we can talk. I really like what you're saying, Tommy, about the one-on-one Hangouts, and G-Man was echoing that with the podcast style. I like hosting Arcane, even though I constantly get heat for it. You guys have no idea how much crap I get when I ask Arcane a question and then I mute my mic and sit back and let him answer. Like, people really get upset with me about that. Not everybody. There's a small contingent that tend to get upset with me about it. So I'm just suggesting, I think the 10-person Hangouts are fun and they're still going to happen, but people got to learn to not take it seriously. But if your guys' suggestion is we need to set up some more one-on-one Hangouts, then let's do it. But let's do it with a little bit of respect. I mean, honestly, G-Man, just as a bit of feedback on the exchange that we had yesterday, if you read that stuff and you ask yourself whether or not the person that you said those things is somebody that you respect, was I supposed to read those messages and think that you respect me personally? You wouldn't come away from that thinking that.
What are you talking about? The G plus stuff from earlier this week?
Yeah, yesterday or day before.
No,
it was, yeah.
What answers because I was at work and I didn't have time to really say what I wanted to say. I would have to call you.
No, it's not.
I don't have time to write these paragraphs and whatnot.
You know what? I think Tommy has something he wants to say. But G-Man, you were like, well, when's the last time you said something bad about somebody else or launched into personal attacks or whatever? And I had to unmute to say, this video, this one here, people are watching right now. You called liar, liar. Everybody's a liar. Everybody's a liar. Come on.
What did I say that wasn't true, though? Nate, just tell me something on here I said that was not true, where I've been a little dishonest, or where I've said something that wasn't true about somebody.
Okay, I can do that. I'm going to give you two examples. One of which I think you come by mistake that you made honestly, but it's honestly in the sense that you didn't really check to see if it's true. You didn't put in the effort to see it's true. You just went ahead and said it. The other one where you are expressly lying about it. So the first one, you were talking about JD, how he made this awful mistake. He didn't know the word Christian was in the Bible, and yet you leave out the part where he was told within a half hour that it was in there and given a reference for it, and he looked and he goes, oh, well, I was wrong about that. Live and learn. Yeah, okay, live and learn. And for like a year you've been, or however long it's been, you keep bringing this up, and I just think like man, if this is the only mistake that G-Man knows about that JD Kane has ever made, G-Man must think JD's a genius, because JD's just not made. This is the one mistake he keeps going to.
I want to respond to that.
Hold on. Okay, second. The in that same little bit there, you were saying that G-Man was really dissing the Bible. You were in a debate where that was the topic, was the truth of the Bible or related matters. So you're upset that he was dissing the Bible, and then you say, and it turns out that he never read the thing. But he read 4 books about the Bible, but he never read the Bible. You've made that claim repeatedly. This one, I think this is an honest mistake on your part.
Okay.
His answer was, just to clarify for the audience so they know what we're talking about. His answer was, when you asked him about it, he said that yes, he's read the Bible and he's read bits of it here and there, but not all the way through. And the information he was giving you was from other books he had read about the Bible. From that, I know you certainly can. From that, you then turned around and said, oh, well, he never read the Bible. He never said he never read the Bible. He said he did read it.
Okay, hold tight. That's a lot of information, and I'm not even going to try to cover all of that.
That's the one. I can nutshell it for you. It was the thing.
Hold on a minute, hold tight.
Yeah, go ahead.
The reason why I keep bringing up the whole thing about him not knowing that the word Christian shows up in the Bible actually 3 times versus no times is mainly because the man keeps talking about other people's education. You see, you got to understand something. When I'm talking in these Google Hangouts, I'm not necessarily talking to your community right away. I'm talking to mine. And I know what my community cares about. If somebody's going to get on here and say something like, okay, so-and-so is not intelligent, so-and-so needs to go learn this and go learn that. And I remind people that this is the same person that made a YouTube video and attempted to say that the word, and mind you, for those people who don't know why this is so important, we was arguing over whether or not you can know who's a Christian or not. And JD Kane actually lost a bet with me, you know what I mean? And then this video came out and everything. So he said that the word Christian doesn't even show up in the Bible. It actually shows up in the Bible 3 times. Okay. And I remind him about that to show him that he's not perfect. He doesn't know everything. Okay. And then with the debate that I actually had with him, I bring up the fact that why are you criticizing a book that you haven't actually read? And he hasn't. All he knows and all he kept doing the entire time he debated me was repeating Bart Ehrman. That's all he was doing the entire time he debated me. And like I was dumb and I didn't see what he was doing. Okay.
No, he did. Go ahead.
He was using Bart Ehrman's arguments and thinking he was getting somewhere with that. Okay. So my point and the whole point is this. If I'm so stupid and I'm so and I'm so uneducated, okay, and all these other people are so uneducated, why is it so hard for an educated person to understand it? You should probably read the book before you start criticizing it.
Okay, well, has JD read the Bible?
No, he has not.
Okay,
I don't.
So that's a mistake.
It's getting really freaking old when talking about people are stupid and uneducated. That's crap.
I don't think we should be. Yeah. I don't think we should be.
I hear that from them, but I've learned to use that against them because the dumber they make me look when I debate them and I destroy them and the audience is saying they got destroyed, that's the worst they're gonna look. So.
Okay. Well, then all we need to do, if you want, if the whole goal is to make people look stupid, all you got to do then is take
That's
the
not
clip
my whole
of JD
goal.
telling.
Man,
No, I know. No, it's not a straw man. I'm making the point here that that's not what we should be doing, because all somebody has to do then is take the clip of you and JD in the same hangout where JD is telling you, yes, he's read the Bible, and this information he's bringing forward is actually from these other 4 books he read from the Bible. I believe 2 of them are actually written by Bart Ehrman, if not 3 of them. He says straight out, this is where he was really.
Again, I've already addressed that. Okay,
no,
you cannot
no.
criticize the Bible with the specific things that he's talking about unless he's actually read the account.
No, that's fair. Yeah, I agree with you there. I agree with you there. That's fair.
Okay, I'm reducing your volume. Okay, the reason why this is so important, because when you're talking about something like the resurrection, and you don't even know what happened according to the Bible regarding the resurrection, how do you know if Bart Ehrman is telling you the truth? If both Tommy and Antonio are Christians, Antonio knows a lot about the abortion issue. I'm sure Tommy knows enough about it to have a conversation, or probably knows just as much as Antonio. Okay, if I start making claims that the Bible supports it, that the Bible supports abortion, and I use a Bible verse, do you know how fast Antonio and Tommy will be all over me on that? Well, G-Man, you're misinterpreting that scripture. Where did you get that from? Oh, no. G-Man, that came from the cults. That didn't come from, you know what I mean? And I would have to listen to them. J.D. Kane's free to criticize a book that he hasn't read, but then they get on our case about evolution where they claim we don't know nothing about it and we're criticizing it. It's ridiculous. Okay, so you can joke about it all you want. The reason why Hogtie knows so much about this is because he moderated it. Yeah, I highly recommend everybody go watch that debate. Trust me, you'll see what I mean.
Listen to you. We can listen to you whine incessantly at the end of that debate. Yeah, I mean that was okay.
Listen to me whine.
Yeah, you and then after, actually, people should watch the debate, and then they should watch the next hangout you joined afterwards.
Okay, and then people should also watch the fact that Hogtie Champ, the moderator, did not keep the rules that he agreed to. Hogtie Champ attempted to take over the debate and change the rules in the middle of the debate. Hogtie, don't do that again, bro.
Okay, now I would like to respond to that specific accusation. I would like it if because you made okay. So he's going to adjust my volume again. It's things like this.
Watch that. We're laughing at him, and as a matter of fact, there's some atheists on here that was embarrassed about what he did on here. Okay, the fact of the matter is, you can't criticize a book you haven't read if he doesn't even know the story of the resurrection or to understand its significance or anything like that, and then trying to criticize it. He's going to make himself look like a fool when he talks to somebody who actually took the time out to read it and knows what it's all about.
Okay, people should watch the debate. I agree with you there. Can I be heard? I don't know if my volume is.
No, I can't hear you, and you think it's funny, and I don't.
No, what's funny? I'm asking if I can be heard. Okay, you know what? It's things like this, G-Man. We can. You've just suggested we move past the point
instead of being jerk hog now, because I can be jerk G-Man real fast.
You don't have to. That's my point. Is all I came in to say. I got a message now, so I do have a little less than 5 minutes left. So you just suggested we move past this point. So I went, okay, yeah, we'll move past this point. But you seem not.
Yeah, we'll move past.
It's things like this. We need to have a mechanism. Like we need to have a mechanism. These conversations. They get heated. They're on difficult topics. And I'll tell you one thing I find kind of strange is that. One of the topics that I generally avoid is abortion, because people are so passionate about it. It's really, really easy to step on toes and get people offended and get your own feelings hurt and your back up and really get into bad interpersonal friction and not have a good conversation. And yet Antonio and I are able to do that. And I've gone into a room, it's not just him, there's other people in the room. We're able to do that. I think people know when you're dealing with a sensitive topic like that, you have to sort of be a little more thick-skinned. You have to be a little more yielding to the other person. And forgiveness. There's a thing that we atheists call the spirit of forgiveness. And I'm going to chuckle. I know, it's a joke, G-Man. See, it's like that. It's like that.
Do you know what passive aggressive is?
I'm not passive aggressive. That was a joke. I think most people recognize.
I believe that you are also
again, it's accusing.
And I see you doing it, and then you want to think you're not doing it.
I'm not doing it.
That's why I get aggressive with you. You attack, and then you try to make fun, and you try to make light of it. And then
I said
to move on with the conversation. No, it doesn't work that way.
Forgiveness.
You can't do that.
I said spirit of forgiveness. I just said spirit of forgiveness.
You don't even believe in spirit. You don't even believe in spirits.
Can I just make a point? Can I just make my point, and then I can go, and then you can talk about me behind my back. I'm just trying to encourage, and this is a bit of an apple pie statement. I don't even know how you could disagree with it. I think we all need to take a look at our.
Thank you, Hog Tie, for coming, man. I greatly appreciate it, man. Yeah, talk about you behind your back. Yeah, sure. All right. Antonio, sorry, man, but that guy is a snake, bro. He is a snake.
Well, I think we aired out pretty much everything we needed to air out here. At the end of the day, I don't care whether y'all like me or not after this. I really don't care. What happened in here needed to happen. What needed to be said needed to be said, point blank. You got people who's under the false impression that like I'm trying to please you people or that I require your respect. I don't. All right. I was a God-fearing Christian when I came in here, and that's how I'm going to leave. And I have certain principles that I stand on, and I'm not going to abandon them just so I can look good to gain y'all respect.
Amen.
Because the fact of the matter is, I'm not going to be able to gain the respect of most of these non-believers and stay consistent with my beliefs at the same time. It's not going to happen.
That's right. Amen, brother. Amen. Preach it. Amen.
And I will say that. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. I will say that right now I seem to be on pretty good terms with Hogtie. Whether that changes in the future remains to be seen. But right now I'm on pretty good terms with him. I think he's fairly reasonable. I know you feel differently about that. G-Man, based on your experience, but I mean, that's just how I feel about it right now. But as far as many others in this community, I just don't have a lot of respect for a lot of people in their general circles because, like, again, like I said to Steve McRae earlier, there's certain things I like about him, but there's quite a few things I dislike about him. And the things I dislike about him comprise of what most of the people in their community like to do. Like to look at people who disagree with them and, call them stupid and then constantly try to pit intelligence against other people in a way to belittle them. I ain't got no problem with a battle of wits or meeting of the minds in a positive sense, but doing it to make yourself look good and put yourself on a soapbox pedestal to try to make yourself sound better than people on these sorts of pride ego trips that they go on. I have no respect for that.
Hey, Antonio, you should read the live chat. This is Hogtie speaking, and I quote, this video includes G-Man's explicit statement. Wait, hold on a minute here. Hold on a minute. Okay, he says, this video includes G-Man's explicit statement that he hates certain people, including me, and it needs to be available for others to see. Can somebody tell me when I said that I hated certain people?
Oh, no.
Did anybody hear me say that? Tommy, you want to hold me accountable, Tommy? Do you hear me say anything like that, Tom?
No, I haven't heard anything like that.
I don't know. I think he's hallucinating. I don't know. But yeah, I didn't say anything like that. I think Hogtie Champ is acting like a girl, and I think he needs to man up. He's showing a little bit too much emotion. He needs to man up. Obviously, I believe that he was passively attacking me. He was being passive aggressive. He was doing a lot of hit and running with his long statements and whatnot, and moving the goalposts over and over and over and over and over again. But again, Hogtie, if you can just put that clip on your YouTube channel where I said that, that'd be great. But if you didn't, according to this comment that you left in the comment section, man, that would make you a liar.
And it might get a little ugly when things like this have to be said. But at the end of the day, people got to act like men, because most of us are men in this, because there are ladies here, but most of us, talking in this great debate are men. And I'm just sick of, the bunch of the constant sissy behavior that I'm seeing in this community.
You know what I think now?
Things need to be said tonight.
They're trying to create drama because now Christopher, and by the way, I'm glad I get mind control now, because Chris said that he had it and that he was going to try to argue that I hate people too. And you know what's going to happen? When I see their behinds in this room and I'm moderating, they ain't going to be in there very long. Because here's the thing, I'm not going to respond to any drama videos. I'm letting the atheist community know right now, you make a content video, I will respond. You make a drama video, I'm too busy with the Hebrew Israelites right now. I don't got no time for the stupidity of the atheist community, guys. As a matter of fact, if you actually watch my last video that I uploaded with the Hebrew Israelites, the atheists actually approached me real life and in person in downtown Newark. And I actually told him I didn't want to talk to him because I'm really sick and tired of debunking your stupid arguments.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm tired of it.
Yeah, man.
You guys are garbage every day. Let's create some drama, get some views. Let's create some drama, let's get some views. Yeah, you'll be doing it without me responding to it.
Exactly. And this point, this is where it stops. If y'all want to make hangouts over the next week or two about this, that's your prerogative to do. Because I will not be a willing
Don't tell me about it, Antonio.
No, I won't. No, I won't. I won't even look at their stuff or even respond to it. I know JD Kane is more likely going to make Talking Stupidity Tuesdays hangout about this. But this is where it stops for me at this point. No more nonsense. I'm about the content. I'm about the substance. If y'all can't act like men and talk about the substance, then y'all not worth my time.
Yeah.
Stop acting like a bunch of little sissies, like y'all never left high school or something.
And you want to know what else, too? You want to know what else? It's like I'm so busy with like real issues in my life. They think I actually listen. At this point right now, they can tell people that I robbed a bank for all I care, and they got video footage, and I can care less. You know what I mean? Seriously, these people need to get a life. They really do.
Yeah, I know that it got a lot off topic, obviously, but these things needed to be said, people. And I will not be deleting this hangout. So,
please don't do that. Please don't do that. Yeah, because they're gonna try to hate people, and all the Christians are gonna start laughing at them. So whatever.
So as many people, y'all can download it, y'all can take a picture. I don't care what y'all do with it. Y'all can do whatever y'all want with it.
Because no, whenever you're talking to JD, I guarantee you, he's just trolling for content for his show. So he usually, whether it be in chat or in Hangouts, he's trying to incite something so that he'll get a response that he can talk about. So just to give you the heads up, that's his whole point for being here.
Well, Tommy, you know what, Tommy? I accept that, but I said this earlier in this Google Hangout, and I'm gonna say it again. When they make their slander video about me hating people, when JD Kane talks about me on Tuesday, all he's doing is advertising my YouTube channel. If these dummies had any sense whatsoever on YouTube, they would remember before Google Hangouts got around here, you wanted people to share videos about you, whether they were positive or negative, so people can know about you on YouTube. I've been on here for three and a half years now. Okay, and I was here before these hangouts got started. Where you needed people to make video responses. These dummies think they're hurting me.
Yeah,
they really think they're hurting me. They're not hurting me. You're bringing traffic to my YouTube channel.
That is true.
You know, so they let them do what they want. I don't care no more.
Yeah, I may be relatively new to G+, but I'm not new to YouTube. I'm not new to the internet. I'm not new to this type of thing. So if these people think I'm just naive or something, let them think what they want. But well, thanks for coming, Tommy. This is the end of this hangout anyway, and I appreciate you coming too, G-Man. And if you got anything to say, G-Man, before we go off air, the floor is yours, bro.
Yeah, sure. For those of you who are watching and want to see a legitimate show where you're going to learn something, and besides this one, obviously, check out the G podcast tomorrow at 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. G-Man versus the Black Hebrew Israelites, where there's going to be no drama, and you're actually going to learn something and learn how to debunk the arguments made by the Hebrew Israelites. But also, I want you guys to understand something that every last one of you who are watching this, the atheists that are planning to slander me, those of you on here who want to lie and don't have a life or whatever, you guys are sinners. According to the scripture, you guys are transgressors of God's law, okay, and his commandments, okay? And the only way that you can be made right in the eyes of God is by placing your faith in Jesus Christ and him alone, because he lived the perfect life that God requires us to live, and he gave his life up to atone for our sins. He spilled his blood to make us right in the eyes of God. And if you will place your faith in him and him alone, God will save you from yourself. You'll actually be able to get out of the bondage of attacking God every day and attacking people who worship God every day. Most of you who are watching this know that the gospel is true. You just don't like God. But just keep in mind that while you were yet his enemy, he died for you. Hogtie Champ's not going to do that for you. JD Kane's not going to give up his life for you. But more than likely, JD Kane's going to beg for some money for his Patreon from you guys soon, because he's going to entertain you guys. But Jesus Christ died for you. He gave his life up for you. And if you will place your faith in him and him alone, he will give you eternal life. He'll save you from the coming judgment that is going to come upon this world. And at the end of the day, guys, that's the most important thing that you guys need to hear. Not so much about whether or not Hogtie's a liar or JD Kane's a liar or those guys and whatnot. You guys need to know that you need Jesus Christ, and you need him right now. And he's knocking at the door of your heart, and he's saying, "Let me in. Stop pretending like I'm not knocking on your heart." He's saying, "Let me in, and I will show you that I'm real, and I will open your eyes for the first time in your entire life." If you do that, guys, you will have eternal life. You'll be a different person, and you will be a child of God. Come to Jesus Christ while you still got time, guys. Stop playing around with the drama. Take your life seriously, because, you're having fun now, but tomorrow you die. None of you are guaranteed tomorrow. Just keep that in mind.
Hey, man, well said, brother. So thanks for watching, everyone. Take care, peace, and what is the thing you say always before you go off air, brother?
Read your Bible and do what it says. God bless.
Amen. God bless. See ya.